Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 171 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I am joined by the man who's going to be playing Hellblade 2 in a little bit over a month, Lord Cognito. How are you, sir?
The voices. What should we do? I'm not sure. Don't touch it. Do we play the peak? 30 frames per second, I don't know. What if the voices be 60 frames, 30 frames, we're not sure. There's no performance mode. Yo, you stupid. That was good. I'm doing good. I'm rested. I'm feeling better. Good. My energy's back. Man, I am convinced, it was definitely the PAX flu or the, PAX
plague.
Yeah, man, I was going through it because I could tell my energy level was back. That was one of the key things that I know. But resting and doing good, a lot of games being played, a lot of things going on. What about you, sir? How have you been? I saw some retro information. I was very proud. I like the production value. You commit. You're like an old soul. You commit to like things that I don't consider your age group to be cognizant of. And like, you are about it. Like, you are about that life. So congratulations on the new endeavor.
Thank you. Yeah, let's talk about that to open up the show. We actually have a write in here from JP. Mm-hmm. Hey, Dukes, are you two in a secret competition to see who could do more work? Cog with all his travel recently, Maddie expanding Retro Rebound with a new channel, Retro Rewind. It all seems too much. Joking aside, you two are some of the hardest working people in the space, and congrats on all your successes. Have a Fallout show released one day early kind of day. Yeah, and this is a great week, man. The Fallout reviews are looking pretty strong. By the time people are listening to this, we'll be watching the show, so we can talk about that a little bit next week. But yeah, very excited for that. But yeah, as JP wrote in, as Cog mentioned, made a really big announcement this week. This is one I was really excited about. Locke had pitched to me back in December. We were on our winter break, and Locke DM'd me and he said, I have an idea I want to show you. He's like, don't freak out, but we need to do it in a call. And by the way I operate with like my team is, no pitching or anything like that. Like, give me the document. Let's see. Let's revise the financial strategy. I was just like, all right, so Locke's got a pretty big idea here. So he comes to me with like a 15-page PDF for Retro Rewind. And he's like, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's how it's going to be sustainable for you. Here's how it's not going to overwork you. Like, he had anything I would have said no to thought out. So he's offered to manage the entire channel. And which, we make sure he's paid for, but like he's managing the entire channel over there. So it's made it in a position where we were already starting to watch movies and TV. Because when he first pitched the idea, I said, all right, this is awesome. So first, let me talk to my fiance, make sure we're all good there, because this will take up some level of time, not a ton, with the way we're doing things, and then let's test it out. Like, let me start watching movies and TV and incorporating it into my schedule with like my gaming time and reading and being a good partner and exercising, and it's added some much needed structure into my life, and it's been phenomenal. These last few months, the reason I felt so good is because we've been kind of getting ready for this, and it's created a forced balance. Like, I have to go to bed a little earlier. Like, I'm no longer the 3 a.m. guy. Like, it's 1 a.m. now, which is way fucking better than it's been for like over half a decade. I know it's not much, but like it's a big step for me. It's leading to me getting up earlier. I'm getting more done during the day than I ever have. I'm not feeling as burnt out. I feel really good. And this announcement was huge because it symbolized a kind of step in the direction I've always wanted to go in, which is more evergreen style YouTube content. I've spent with Mr. Matty Plays since really 2012, 2011, actually 2010, sorry, producing a style of content that disappears in relevancy in like 72 hours tops, outside of reviews and a couple other discussion pieces. Like, anything you watch on Mr. Matty Plays has its place, has its value, but it just isn't sustainable in the sense of like wanting to watch that later on. And the proof is in the pudding because like Retro Rebound, its viewership is the same as Mr. Maddie, but we uploaded half the amount over there.
Wow.
So Evergreen is a thing, and it's really impactful. It's really important. So people watch the old things and the new things, and that's what I've always wanted to do. I tried converting Mr. Maddie to that. It didn't work. And so that's what led to Retro Rebound. That's obviously popped off, and I feel very fortunate about that. That community is incredible. And so what we did was we launched Retro Rewind, which is a movie, TV, anime channel where we're going to sit down 3 times a week, 2 in more, I would say, podcasty format, simply put, but it's more like recorded in podcast format, but we're going to have like clips and screenshots and like other things edited in to give it more of a video feel. But this is to kind of streamline the production process so it's not overworking anyone and making sure it's sustainable and that it's nothing crazy. And then the kind of tentpole, the centerpiece is Retro Alliance, which is like this handshake show between Retro Rebound and Retro Rewind, where we sit down in more of that highly produced, like one-on-one video manner. So it's really 1 extra video a week for me, which is doable because what's happened is how we've shifted the pieces is now Josh is editing everything on Retro Rebound. Locke is doing everything on Rewind plus his own Rebound video. And Rewind, we can do everything in like a single day is how we made sure like, okay, let's say we really wanted to power something out. We could do a whole week's worth of content in a day, in a handful of hours, really, with how it's structured. So it's made it really sustainable and something that people are really excited about, where we can kind of feed both communities and make this partnership and kind of grow what the retro brand is about. And so with that,
boy, about to blow up. It's about to be lit.
We launched a Patreon with it, patreon.com/retro-revive. I know we usually promote Last Stand here, so I don't want to shove it too hard here, but I do want to say I want to shout out the Last Stand faithful. I could see the mutual servers and a lot of people who came over from Last Stand, and that is not lost on me. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for coming in, supporting it. We're off to a really good start. Retro Rewind has almost 3,000 subscribers already, which is around where Retro Rebound launched with. And we haven't even, as of this point in time, promoted it on Mr. Maddie or done any significant pushes. So it's a really good start there. We have over 100 patrons now on Retro Revive, and that's available if anyone wants to support it. The structure is kind of similar to Last Stand. Of course, I learned a lot working here, and I wanted to make sure we put more of our value toward the bottom, where it's like, you get the most for your dollar, and we don't overprice things in an era of subscription services. I'm really proud of everything we put together. Like, I really am. I don't say it often, but I feel like for the first time in my life, I have structure. A lot of my work days, especially when it comes to Mr. Maddie's, like you sit down, okay, I don't know what I'm doing today. I just know I need to make a video, and it's really hard for me to make plans. And that leads to me overworking because I just sit at my computer trying to overplan. Now I have a plan most days of the week, Monday through Friday, and it's sustainable. It's really good for me. I'm really excited. And just with the way the modern games coverage has shifted, like people have noticed on Mr. Maddie, like I haven't really gotten review code access. And so I've started to do the Final Verdict series. So I get to play these games in my own pace at my own timing, like I did with Dragon's Dogma and multiple others this year. And I kind of just I did it with Baldur's Gate 3, and I put my review out for that like 3 months after the fact. And those videos do really well. So it's given me the confidence to be like, okay, I want to still do reviews. I'm still going to apply to do reviews, but that's no longer the bread and butter of my business. I can kind of operate as an entity with a crew now and try to push things in a new direction and kind of take a bet on not only our community, but ourselves. And so we're fueling a lot of the content through the community. Very Last Stand like, we're going to take write-ins. We're going to include them in the videos. We're going to have thank yous at the end of the video for everyone who's supported us. We're really excited about it. We do a lot of other things, Q&A series, early access to a couple of videos, Discord's there. It's really great. And the community is incredible. So I don't mean to sound like I'm over promoting anything, but just, if you want to check out Retro Rewind or you want to check out Retro Revive on Patreon, you can. I would really appreciate it because, again, this has been months and months in the making. And when it comes to Rebound, that was like 10 years in the making.
Wow.
When you really, not like planning it, but just like, I tried twice on Mr. Maddie to like reorient things
to try to incorporate it on Mr. Maddie at that time. Yeah. Got you.
I tried to do what I think a lot of people, because there was a few people who were like, early, another channel. And I don't get annoyed at that, but I understand how it looks because some people are like not familiar with YouTube as a job. And it's like, for me, I've tried these reorienting, and like number one, YouTube does not like when you cross games and movies. Like that's never going to work.
Bro, we learned
completely different audiences. Yeah, and then when you will get slapped down and nothing will get put out there. And so splitting it up is good for not only growing new audiences, but making sure you satisfy the audience that's there for a particular thing. I've made those mistakes in the past where I've over adjusted my content. I've sunk channels over it. I've learned my lessons. This is kind of the culmination of that. So yeah, it's not like a side venture, a side project. Like it's a full on initiative to give people really good shit over there, just like we do on Retro Rebound. And we'll see how it goes with Mr. Matty right now. You know, I've talked about at times winding it down to like 2 videos a week. Right now, with how everything is stabilized, all I have to do is be on camera for 2 of these shows, but I can manage Mr. Matty on my own, as I always like to do. So I can kind of edit things how I will, produce things how I will. Not that my editors ever had a problem with any of that, but it just lets me get things done in my time.
Your pace,
So it's really back to how it was many years ago, where I was just focused on Mr. Matty. And the only real additive to my schedule in the sense of like sitting down and like focusing for extensive hours is game development. Okay. But that is where I have a team of, 10 people backing me up there. So it doesn't all fall to me. So yeah, we have a full operation here. Yeah, man. Really excited for the future. I'm putting a big bet on if you will, nostalgic, retrospective kind of content, because I think modern gaming content will always have its place, but I think the growth is going to be in the past, because I think people are getting kind of sick of the antics of modern gaming. And that's why we started Retro Rebound when we did. I was kind of getting fed up, and I wanted to have an excuse to talk about and play these older games, even if it was for like a handful of hours. And so, yeah, that's where we've ended up. And I'm tremendously excited. And, not only that, but to give opportunity. This is the last thing I'll just say is like, that's always been my mantra, is like, when you look at the people I've worked with, I think Carrick was probably the biggest name I put on one of my platforms. And what's funny is that never made a difference in viewership. It was just like, I always work with my friends. So it wasn't like a play to get viewership, but like when I stared Ham Radio, it was myself, Lone Vault Wanderer, who had 1,000 subscribers at the time, and one of my best friends, Noah. And I brought Dustin in, and that was kind of his first step into like a big podcast, because we had like about 20,000 listeners a week. And then he got into Sacred. And so after that, we winded things down. I brought Kopi, one of my best friends, Paul, in for Ham Radio Live. That was a short run endeavor, because it really wasn't working out schedule wise, and it wasn't panning out how we thought. That was like a lesson learned there. It wasn't as strong as we wanted it to be, but I wanted to give him a chance, and he found his place, and where he wanted to be in gaming, he does PR now. Nice. And I think, kind of what we did here with Defining Duke, you had your own platform, but we wanted to make sure like you were getting that signal boost that you deserved, and more people know about you. And that's through your own hard work, of course, but that's always been my mantra. And so to give Locke a platform where he's going to be uploading once a week on Retro Rebound, people are about to learn how fucking talented this dude is. People are about to learn, like, this guy is not only hilarious, he's one of my closest friends, and he works super hard. And that's, people wonder, like, where's your work ethic come from? Look who my co-host is. Look who I work with. I surround myself with fucking go-getters because that's who I am. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just really excited for, the real edition is Locke. The real edition is his content. You're getting more of me in the TV movie department, but the real edition is him. And I think people are going to love him. And they already do, just because a lot of the audience is familiar with him. But like, he put out his little documentary, not little, it was an hour long, but on LucasArts games. It was a passion project of his. It's phenomenal stuff. I recommend people check it out. Like, I think if anyone's listened to him on Last Stand already, they know how great he is. And so, yeah, I'm super proud to be able to like put him on a higher level here, and just be able to like let him cook and do his own thing and make his own videos and give him that platform. So yeah, it's something I've always been proud of doing with the stuff I build. And so I'm excited for more people to see Locke do his thing.
Yeah. Big Locks, congratulations. No, this is great stuff, man. Great stuff. I saw the news. I was like, yeah, this is a good fit. This is a perfect transition. It makes sense. You know what I mean? It's a natural thing. And like you said, I'm in the same boat as far as like, sometimes you get disenchanted with the daily news as far as how the community's reacting to crazy, just all type of negativity and foolishness sometimes. And I'm just like, bruh, it ain't that serious. We got to get back to the fun and doing things that we enjoy. Yeah. So I like that. It's like a slight pivot, but it's still doing what you want to do. And you still got your main channel, you got your other channel. I like what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's really exciting I used to do everything on my own, as people know. That's how I burnt out. I did everything on my own. I've really, over these last couple of years, game development taught me a shit ton. When we started our game in 2020, really, with writing ideas on paper and everything, like, that was my first understanding of like collaboration makes things better when you're surrounded by the right people. And I've just loosened my grip on a few things, and it's really elevated my life in meaningful ways. So I'm excited to see what comes of it now. This is the last big step for me for a while. We're going to let everything sit as it is now. We have the channels, we have the vision. It's time to just execute, right? Like, we have been on certain levels, but it's time just to let the vision do its thing and see where we are in a couple of years when like the game is out and Rewind's been around for a few years and Rebound will be passing half a decade old. So we'll see. But that's enough about me. I appreciate everyone indulging and just letting me, because it's like when you build up these plans for a while, you just want to talk about them as much as you can. So
of course,
I appreciate you asking, and I appreciate those who really do support what we do here and wherever our personal things are.
Oh, no question. We got to support, man. Love to see. When I saw it, I was like, yeah, here we go. Let's get it.
All right. Well, let's get into the Xbox news here. I almost forgot to do timestamps with all of my all of my talking about my personal brand and everything like that.
Stamp.
Hellblade 2 previews are out. We have a write in here from Joseph Woods, who writes, "Greetings, Jarl Maddie, the retro gamer, and Jarl Cognito, the shinobi. Hellblade 2 previews have been receiving much praise from outlets, but most of it has been overshadowed by the 30 FPS controversy. Should we be demanding more from devs in getting 60 FPS? Or is this just the cycle in tech development where games start to push the tech and therefore 30 FPS is okay? Hellblade 2 is looking to be one of the most graphically impressive, so surely it makes sense to be 30 FPS. Anyway, have a ignoring the voices in my head to snatch all those sweet spring sale deals kind of day." Then we have Bloated Backlog, who writes in, "Hey Dukes, with the news of Hellblade 2 being 30 FPS on Xbox Series X and then the predictable outcry on social media, perhaps people need to re-examine their expectations about consoles. I'm baffled how they think a $500 console, which by the way has hardware that's around 5 years old now, is going to do 4K 60 on every game, including newer titles with Unreal Engine 5, which is still in its infancy. As the saying goes, you get what you pay for, and expecting high-end PC performance on a console is unrealistic. Maybe thankful it can even run on console to begin with." Oh man, all right. I like where his head's at. I would be interested to hear your thoughts about this. Keep up the great work. Thank you both, Joseph Woods and Bloated Backlog, for writing it. So yeah, Hellblade 2 previews are out. Really positive stuff. Press got to play for about 45 minutes to an hour tops. See some combat finally. Combat impressions were pretty positive, which is the main thing I was thinking about. I was like, oh, okay, like you could play this game and fighting seems to be good one-on-one. So have you gone through these previews as well? What did you think of them? And we'll get into the great FPS debate once more as Xbox has found themselves at the center of it again.
Yes. Yeah, I read the it's funny because when you see the title for all the outlets that previewed it, for the most part, it was extremely positive. And it was kind of like, man, this thing is pushing graphical fidelity. I can't wait to get back into it. And again, we talk about Unreal Engine 5 and how beautiful this game looked. Every time we saw this game was beautiful. But to your point, Maddie, the questions were combat, right? Mm-hmm. How does that feel? Like I thought, let me see if they're dodging certain things, they're hiding things, right? And the impression I got was like, not only is it visceral and every battle feels like, you're on the fight for your life, but it gains a sense of satisfaction. But let's get to the main event. You know why everyone's here, the 30 frames per second debate.
Let's hear it.
So here's my thing. And I'll just be brutally honest, as a techie, I'm always going to want 60 frames per second. Let's just be clear. I am always going to want that. Now, in this particular case, it is interesting because I'm like, all right, I touted it as, thing that goes alongside the Xbox Series X. This is the power, our most powerful console when we debuted it at the Game Awards. Hellblade 2 was the showpiece. And the talk at the time was like, bro, that's not a vertical slice. That's what it is. And for the most part, that's what it is. We're like, we did see the Insomniac leaks, and the great Inside, who I have tremendous reference for, said, Ninja Theory and what they're doing with Hellblade 2 is something we are aspiring to do, right? So that lets you know where the levels are from the graphical fidelity. So this is what I got it. Am I disappointed that it's not 60? Absolutely. However, I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like I know if the Unreal Engine 5 is pushed, if there's the nanite technology and the photorealism that this game seems to be going for, and we have to be clear, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, as of right now, most developers I talk to and what my eyes tell me is this is the best looking game on console right now. That's what I get from it. When it comes from this pure visual fidelity, Hellblade looked like it's that. So if they're going for that, and this is the last point that some people ain't going to want to hear, maybe the Series S console just can't do the 60 with that level of fidelity. I know it's hard to imagine with the, 5-year-old console or whatever it may be. And this is something that King, it was a great debate on IOP recently. He's been like, look, oh, bro, he's going in. He's just like, look, people's wallet may have to call for a PC if they choose to want that level of fidelity with this and the 60 frames, right? And I know some people don't want to hear that. They want to expect it because you look at, what PlayStation's doing, like, PlayStation's able to give you option. And that, I will say this, I would have loved an option, right? But then I'm doing some research, Manny, and I'm hearing it's not as simple as just scale the resolution down in Unreal Engine 5 and you're going to get 60 frames per second performance. I'm seeing the digital foundries. I'm seeing people who are like, hey, Cog, I got a 4080, 4090. This is a CPU bound thing, which is surprising because you're like, there's not a lot of enemies on screen and stuff like that. But the last thing I'll say is this. The proof in the pudding will be, and again, in defense of people who want 60, is more Unreal Engine 5 games or more run in Unreal Engine 5 games going to have this situation, right? That I want to see from a first party perspective, and we'll find out, But as far as everything else, I'm super hyped for this game. I'm super interested in this game. This may be a detraction for some, but we'll see. But I'm curious with you, now that the dust is settling, obviously this news broke after, we had a little bit of the curse of the Dukes. And this one broke the day. I'm like, damn, it was a slow news week. Okay, next day, here comes Hellblade. You could have used it, but now that the dust is settled, where are you at, Maddie? Like, damn, another Xbox One? Or like, where you at?
I wish I cared as much as other people. I'll say it. I just wish I did. But, and a lot of people will view that as a defense of Xbox, but it's like, there's just been too many instances I'm playing these games and I don't notice it or I don't care. It's happened with Dragon's Dogma 2. I was just playing it last night. I don't notice or care about the frame rate at all. It runs totally fine in my experience. Let's use a more stable example though, because people's experiences will diversify there. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I played the entire game on their quality mode. And for most of it, I didn't even recognize that it was on the quality mode because it ran so smooth. Look, I'll say this. Ninja Theory's explanation for this 30 FPS, they want it to be more cinematic. That's some Ubisoft ass shit right there. Take the mic away from that man immediately. Do not let him speak for your games because that is not the headline you want surrounding 30 frames. I think what's happening from my read of the situation is the technology that makes these games is moving faster than the hardware. So by the time the hardware gets out, it's already a little bit dated, right? And then the technology keeps moving, and you're getting better, bigger, prettier games. But the technology that you're running it on is still back here for the most part for 90% of your consumer base. And so there's two things that's a problem here, right? It's that, and then I think it's also the claims of Xbox, most powerful console. We'll talk about it later. They're doing it again. They're doing it all again. They're saying it again that we're about to make the biggest leap in gaming history. Okay. We have all the faith in you. We love you, Xbox. Start delivering on it. It's a really weird look when you're going world's most powerful console and your games are 30. That's how people are going to see it. This is the rake in the field that we're talking about that you just find your way to step onto constantly. So it's frustrating to watch them be their own worst enemy. That said, I've had so many non-console exclusive and console exclusive experiences where I'm playing these games and they're 30 and I don't care. My game of the year in 2022 was a game that was at max 45 FPS on consoles, and that was a Plague Tale Requiem. It is an impact, and I understand the concern, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend it affects me as much as it affects others. That's not the job I'm here to do.
Oh, well said. I think you're making a fantastic point. And I think, too, I think what amplifies the situation. Let's be honest, not to war with the sacred boys or anything like that, but it's just that, when you look at PlayStation, right, and you look at a lot of their games, I think what's disappointing for some of the Xbox community is to just wish there was a performance mode, if possible, but maybe in a situation again with Unreal Engine 5, which again the verdict is out. I need to see more examples, but in people who are in defense of, hey, Xbox is stepping on the rate, you say Starfield's 30, right? You say, 3 titles, Redfall dropped at 30, then eventually got a 60, but then you see Halo, that came at 60, almost up to 120. Yeah. Forza, obviously 60 frames per second. So I just need to see if this is a UE5 situation, because I think the other thing, in fairness now to Xbox, is that from what I'm also hearing, a lot of these games that PlayStation have are cross-generational, right? And that they were maybe potentially using UE4 as opposed to a UE5 game. And I think that to me is, what we see. But I think the last point I'll say would blow the backlog. It's a valid point. And this is what King is standing on. I have to defend. King gets out of control a lot, and I try to rein him in. But in this case, I do understand this statement. Like, I'm baffled how a $500 console, which by the way has hardware that is 5 years old now, is going to do 4K 60 every game. And I think what's happened is, one half of it is Xbox marketing is the most powerful thing, but the other half is reality on the age of the hardware and what the limitations actually are. So they'll see. But for me, I ain't stopping my ninja. I ain't stopping.
No, it's not stopping me. I'm hyped.
I'm there, bro. Because all I cared about was, does it play good? Is it doing? Are they playing tricks? Are they doing what they say? Is the combat good? And everything I'm hearing, I'm like, yo, I saw a couple of articles say this could be. I don't want to get too crazy. Potentially goaty conversation if they can nail it. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I have one final thought on the frame rate stuff, and then we can talk more about the game. But my argument, it really stems from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth against always having a performance and quality mode. Is like, I get the want for it. Some people just want 60 and don't care it looks, but like, what we're starting to get with performance mode is, it reminds me a lot of the 360 PS3 generation, where your image on screen was just dirty looking, blurry looking. And I remember that was one of my biggest problems with that generation. I was like, everything looks muddy. And it wasn't until the Xbox One and PS4, like, I know we don't really count that as a massive leap in technology, but that to me, on a visual level, the clarity we got compared to the early days of that generation, where every game was like this weird, stretched out, blurry imagery, it's totally night and day. And that was something I loved. Like, I connected with games deeply because of that. And I think when I was playing Rebirth and I saw a performance mode, I went, oh, 60, of course. And I went back to it, and everything it's like you put a film over my screen.
So good.
And I was like, this reminds me of the 360. I don't like this. Like, I'd rather take the 30 and just see these characters. Like, that's so, especially in a case like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that's so much of what that game does well, is like these characters, their emotions, in the performance capture. It's phenomenal. Right. So that's my last line of defense on it, especially a game like Hellblade, which you see the tech they're using for this game. You see the facial capture, the motion capture that they're doing for this game. That's a big part of the behind the scenes promotions for Ninja Theory and Hellblade 2, is like the technology they're using to capture the cutscenes. And so I don't want that compromised at all. But to what you were saying earlier with the combat, a lot of positive things have been said, that it's not like you have a bunch of superpowers. Someone did mention an ability with a mirror, which I thought was interesting, but it sounds like it's mechanically simple, but that you're going to be scratching and clawing your way through every fight. Like, it's going to be one-on-one, and they're going to go on for a while. They said that in the developer direct, like, we want to make sure you just barely survive. And I was like, okay. But hearing that the impressions were, oh yeah, like I just barely clawed by, and I'd say I was pretty good at action games, and that made it good, has me pretty excited. My only concern was, I saw in, I think it was IGN's preview, they were the only one to mention the puzzles. And it seems like it's the same exact puzzles like in the first game, with the runic symbols and everything. So we'll see how they pace those, how often they deploy those. The worry I have is this becomes Xbox's Order 1886, which, by the way, Order 1886 is an awesome video game, but it has those slow moments intentionally to stretch out a otherwise incredibly short experience.
Right.
So, and by the way, just make it clear, whoever's listening, if you work at PlayStation. You decide to find your way in here, make a sequel to Order 1886 for the love of God, dude. That ending, man, you're just like, dude, it could have done so much. I know Ready at Dawn is working with Meta now, but like,
I know.
That's like one. PlayStation has so many franchises I just wish they would pick back up. Anyway, that's all I got on Hellblade. Any thoughts from you, sir?
No, pretty much it, man. That's it. So I'm ready. Let's get ready to see how this thing do. But previews were surprisingly super positive, and that was cool to see.
Let's stick with Ninja Theory a little bit here, and then actually move on to our next topic. We learned that Ninja Theory co-founder Tamim Entinades has left the studio. He also confirmed this. Originally, it was reported by Polygon, like he wasn't there. They were wondering where he was, and they said he's no longer at the company. And then he confirmed on his Instagram that he had moved on. He actually stayed there 2 years longer than he planned to help set up the groundwork for the games that they're going to be making moving forward, but he is out of there now. So this was the director of the original Hellblade, and he's gone now. So pretty significant exit here for Ninja Theory. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, salute to Tamim. Obviously a veteran, and he living his best life, man. I don't know if you saw that Instagram.
I haven't actually.
That Instagram, he out here with these Instagram models. He in the club. That man cashed out, and he living his best life. So salute.
I gotta see this. That's so funny,
bro. That's the dream. Like,
you were the Hellblade girl,
bro. He's like, yeah, you ain't know me. I did that Hellblade. You know what I'm saying? Microsoft done back the tracker. He living his best life. Trust me. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, I see why a lot of guys are cashing out right now. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. But yeah, the cool thing in this case, at first I was like, wait a minute. What's going on?
Yeah, I had the same
first. So I was like, wait a minute. And then I was like, nah, he been gone. Like this wasn't like a sudden leave. And then he was just making sure the transitionary process was cool. And at the end of the day, he's definitely thankful. But this is part of the game, right? This is part of the game. When you get acquired, you're going to get cashed out. You see Bobby's outside. You see a lot of people outside. I think Bobby tried to buy something recently. I forgot what it was. It was something big. But anyway.
Right?
Bobby's doing something. A headline came across my life. I just can't remember exactly what it was. But he has a very vested interest in something. But yeah, to me, this is totally normal. I don't see any like doom and gloom situation. It's not a rake situation for me. This is just a man who has cashed out and now, get to see the fruits of his labor continue and make sure they're okay.
Absolutely. So well said. No additional thoughts from me. I agree. I'm glad it didn't devolve into, here we go. This game's going to be shit.
There we go. He left at the last minute. Oh, man.
Just flying the golden parachute. All right. Next bit of news here. Xbox CVP Kareem Choudhry is leaving Microsoft. And this is amid a continued shakeup, as The Verge had reported it. And then Windows Central says that this is just 6 months after the leadership had changed over at Microsoft. They said Choudhry. Thank you. Yeah, I thought I said it wrong the first time. Yeah. Thank you. Choudhry had been focusing on Microsoft's AI plans for Xbox in recent months, which included a new AI chatbot that The Verge exclusively revealed earlier this week, which we talked about last week. He was also key to Xbox's backward compatibility support and helped bring Xbox cloud gaming to life in 2019. So this is a pretty significant exit. Microsoft is now moving Choudhry's former team, Xbox Emerging Tech, to the Xbox hardware side that's headed by Rowan Sones. A new Xbox experiences and platforms team has been created with Ashley McKissick and Kevin Gamil, leading what's reportedly a push to improve the Xbox experience across Windows and Xbox consoles. So this is really interesting here because you're taking pretty much what was an AI team and putting them on the hardware side, which adds support to some of the claims about the consoles inadvertently, I think. But what do you make of this information here, Cog, and what's going on with this big exit and what it means for the future of Xbox? I will link you this article I was taking up Keep at, by the way, just so you have the reference point.
Absolutely. Shout out to The Verge on that one. Yeah, man, Kareem, I've met him a few times. Choudhry is a real cool guy, man. Super knowledgeable. Everyone that in the building speaks extremely highly of him, his acumen. Obviously recently he was doing more of the AI stuff. In the past, he was one of the, let's say, heads of the xCloud team and stuff like that. He was part of there. I know intimately as far as that is concerned. There were some really key members alongside him that really did a lot of the heavy lifting. Obviously, the Bill Stillwells and the Jason Ronalds and things of that nature. But yeah, look, this is a veteran. And one thing that I thought was interesting was the high things praise people were giving him on his way out. So it seems for the most part amicable. I didn't hear anything crazy, what I'm saying? As far as that, I was trying to look to see if there was anything, going on. But no, this is a veteran. This is definitely 26 years at the company and stuff like that. So we'll see. It does appear from a reorganization standpoint, Microsoft is shaking things up, and I know we'll get into backward compatibility and potential moving on as well as game preservation and things of that nature. But I think it's just a shakeup. I just that's the vibe I got. I don't want to go too much deeper into it. I do know some things that I'm not at privy to say just yet until I get more confirmation before I jump out the window and stay like that. But just the overall effect is nothing I'm hearing is like, yo, Cog, pay attention. This is bad, or there's nothing to that effect just yet. But definitely reorganizations is within the building.
Awesome, yeah. Mm-hmm. I am curious to see how this impacts the console moving forward, or whatever hardware they end up working on.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about Activision, Xbox, and China. We're going to read a Blizzard press release as this was announced really through Phil Spencer, who he wrote on his Twitter account. Thanks to the incredible work done by Blizzard and NetEase to renew our commitment to players, we will soon welcome back millions of community members in China to our Blizzard universes. This is exciting for everyone at Xbox, Blizzard, and for players everywhere. Read more, and he links us to this press post where it writes, Microsoft Gaming and NetEase deepen their relationship with a strategic partnership based on their shared desire to bring new gaming experiences to players across platforms and markets. All right, we're going to start here at the top. Beloved video game titles from Blizzard Entertainment that captivated millions of players in China will return to the market sequentially beginning this summer under a renewed publishing deal between Blizzard Entertainment, Microsoft Gaming, and NetEase announced today. So this is the reason this is significant before I read on any further is you'll remember that when we were covering Activision right before the acquisition was finalized, this deal with China fell through and there was a split there. And we said that's a ton of money that they're going to be losing out on. And so it seems like Xbox has served as the mediator potentially to renew that deal. At least that's my assumption, since after the acquisition, they've come together once more. But there is something particularly for Xbox here we'll talk about. After continuing discussions over the past year, both Blizzard Entertainment and NetEase are thrilled to align on a path forward to once again support players in mainland China and are proud to reaffirm their commitment to delivering exceptional gaming experiences. The renewed publishing agreement will encompass Chinese players had access to, under the previous agreement, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, and other titles in Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, and StarCraft universes. Building upon more than 15 years of past collaboration, Blizzard and NetEase are working diligently on relaunch plans with further details to be shared at a later date. Separately, Microsoft Gaming and NetEase have also entered into an agreement to explore bringing new NetEase titles to Xbox consoles and other platforms. We at Blizzard are thrilled to reestablish our partnership with NetEase and to work together with deep appreciation for the collaboration between our teams to deliver legendary gaming experiences to the players in China, said Johanna Ferries, president of Blizzard Entertainment. We are immensely grateful for the passion the Chinese community has shown for Blizzard games throughout the years, and we are focused on bringing our universes back to players with excellence and dedication. And there's more PR comments here, but we'll look at Phil Spencer's. I think it's the most important one of the bunch, given the surprise twist here with the NetEase partnership. Blizzard and NetEase have done incredible work to renew our commitment to players. Blizzard's universes have been part of players' lives in the region for many years, returning Blizzard's legendary games to players in China while exploring ways to bring more titles to Xbox demonstrates our commitment to bringing more players to more games to more players around the world. End quote. All right, Cog, so you're the one who sent this news my way, so I'd love to hear from you first on what this deal means for Xbox, what this deal means for Activision's a little more obvious, but NetEase is behind your beloved, I'm forgetting the name of the game, Naraka Blade Point, yes, among many others. They just announced Marvel Rivals, so I imagine that means that's going to be coming to Xbox, among many other games here. So what do you think, Cog, of this renewed commitment to China in a major way?
I think this is a huge deal. When I saw the Phil tweet, I understood the significance. And here's the thing, and, I got to get into my Lord acquisition mode a little bit here, because remember, people forget during the ABK situation, I keep reminding people how much of a trending downward situation Activision was in, prior to getting, being acquired. And part of it, outside of the Call of Duty sweatshop and frustration and sexual allegation and all type of bad, climate situations, right? One of the big things that I thought was so disappointing was to hear that, in China, how well Blizzard games were doing and how much they love the games. And to see that relationship deteriorate during the Bobby era was unexplainable to me. I'm like, how did this happen that, the relationship is so contentious that it is now broken off, and there was a battle over intellectual property. So to me, that is horrible, especially a game as big as WoW and how in the PC community growing in all these different regions. So this is one of those things that we have to give Microsoft credit here, because at the end of the day, they were able to repair this relationship. They were able to come in there and make this amicable. And not only that, you get, during your period of acquisition of Blizzard, which is huge for PC, right? Yeah. Now you get one of the biggest markets back on board while you're trying to launch your service, right? And then the key point, what you said, pay close attention. This is beyond just, we got that, which is huge. NetEase and Microsoft has worked into a partnership to continue to work together on platforms. We've already seen the relationship with Naraka Blade Point early. I was like, wow, that's a big deal. For them to get that game in the Game Pass, people always talk about, games missed the platform. That's why I was always rocking with Naraka. I was like, dudes are talking. I'm seeing improvement. I'm seeing big games not only make the platform day and date, some of them were exclusive. So I was like, we got to shine light on this. So look out for NetEase. I'm not going to get too crazy. I'm not going to say like, Marvel Rivals is exclusive now. But I will say, I'll be confident to say it ain't going to miss the platform. I'm pretty confident to say that.
That's half the battle. That's what we said with all these different games from South Korea, from Japan, from China. One thing people don't talk about a lot is Xbox skipped out on Genshin Impact, and it's possible it wouldn't have been as big if not for PlayStation. So I don't want to take that away from them, but they've missed so many big games because of their own ineptitude. So just having them on the platform, they don't know what's going to be a big win or not. I'm sure Palworld was a massive surprise, and that should be a huge wake-up call. Like, you just don't know what big surprise, big successes are on the corner, especially nowadays where people are embracing AA and indie more than ever.
That's the thing, and you nailed it. They're no longer missing out on the big event, the big gaming, Chinese or Japanese moment. Those are now accounted for. That's why I always tell people, I know doom and gloom is the thing right now, but I look at the games, I look at the overall improvement from the Xbox generation to this generation, and I see it. These are the examples. So keep an eye out for that NetEase situation. That is something, maybe that translates into more Game Pass relationships. Maybe that translates to just, day and date things don't miss the platform. But I like to see that. And more importantly, for the Blizzard fans, I'm not a Blizzard guy like that. I'm still, learning and stuff like that. But I know the effect WoW had in China. And Microsoft knows it too. So whatever Bobby did to screw that up, they went in there and they made that relation. And to see
Joanna, she was mentioned in the press release, so new head of Activision involved in this too.
Yes, the new I got to give her flowers. I totally forgot to give her flowers. You're absolutely right. So we'll see what happens. But this is a way bigger deal than I think people are mentioning, and I'm glad we were able to catch it this week because And for Phil to tweet it, I say this is a lot of significance for them.
His Twitter is like a dead giveaway for anything he wants to call a little bit of attention to. But I'm very keen to see what comes out of this. I think it's good. Like Marvel Rivals, I really wasn't worried about. I didn't think that would be a PC only game. And whenever it came to consoles, I trust that Xbox was going to get it first. But when it comes to other games coming out of NetEase, live service games for them in particular, Xbox can't afford to miss those. And so to get that kind of partnership, strengthen it really. Again, you mentioned Naraka Blade Point. And that's the thing that even when we were talking about it on Duke week after week after week, one thing people don't really acknowledge often is, as you said earlier, like that was an exclusive. Like that was an exclusive game. So it's hard to say right now to a degree where Xbox fully stands on exclusives long term. Like if you're making an agreement, you're making a deal, you're putting something in pen and paper. how far does that go into the future exclusively? Like, we don't know that right now. And that's why I understand some of the excitement for Xbox in general is subdued. As you can hear, my dog's freaking out in the background. They're hyped for the new China deal. But yeah, it's one of those things where we'll have to see how it all plays out. But to make sure they're getting the games is, I think, more the important battle, especially with how their brand is designed to go everywhere. They said in the press release, they said Xbox and other platforms. Now, it could be PlayStation, it could mean Switch, but it could also mean like Xbox Smart TVs, mobile, that sort of thing, which Xbox has always said. They always say Xbox and other platforms. So we'll see what all it turns out to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right. This one I'm really excited to talk about. Star Wars Outlaws releases August 30th. I actually want to give myself a mild victory lap because I think I said August. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong or right. No one wrote in telling me I was right, though, so I'm going to assume I was right. But anyway, Sean Mason has the write-in. Greetings, Dukes. Firstly, I'd like to extend my congratulations to Maddie on the launch of Retro Revive. As someone who's been following your content since 2014, I cannot wait to see what your new adventure brings. Thank you, dude. Appreciate Sean Mason. Again, a lot of Last Stand Faithful showed up for the Patreon. I really do appreciate that, so thank you, Sean. Now, shifting gears, what are your thoughts on Star Wars Outlaws? Initially, I approached it with skepticism, given the recent underwhelming offerings associated with Star Wars and the involvement of Ubisoft. However, following the reveal of the release date and a deeper dive into the game's plot, my interest has been piqued. Perhaps it's my inherent fondness for Star Wars, but I find myself considerably more optimistic about the potential success of the game. Best, Sean M. I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic. You can take it away, sir.
No, look, I mean, I am dying to hear what you wanted to say about this because I know how big this is for you. I did see the trailer and I thought it was good. I thought, as far as I felt more stealth than I expected. So I was like, ooh, now you have my attention because, again, not trying to be disrespectful. I'm team Respawn. You have a bar that you have to look to, right? But I know they're going for a different vibe and a different, part of the universe and stuff like that. But I saw some iconic callbacks, I saw the Jabba the Hutt and, you know what I'm saying? It looked like the Frozen Han Solo. So I'm assuming, I'm not the Star Wars hardcore lore, but I'm assuming this is a specific time frame and they're trying to go for that. And those are the iconic things that I remember. So I thought they hit those out the park. It looks cool. I just want to, again, as the biased Jedi Survivor guy, you got a high bar to set. So maybe you just go a different direction. You be who you are going to be and establish your gameplay elements and stuff like that. But from what I've seen, there's nothing that said like to me like, yo, I'm worried or anything like that. It was just like, yo, it looks good. Now we just got to get our hands on it. And I'm curious, a guy like you who is truly a Star Wars guy, you know what I'm saying, who's truly understands the lore on a line. I'm the Star Wars casual. I know the basics. I watch it. I like Star Wars, but I would never say I'm this hardcore Star Wars guy. So I need to know, Maddie, like, did it satiate? Did it hit all the notes you needed it to hit for you to say, okay, all right, Ubisoft, all right, Outlaws, you have my attention. I'm in. Where's Maddie at? That's what I'm here for this.
Yeah, okay, so I had a growing optimism for this game just because, again, Starfield didn't deliver on some of my Star Wars fantasies I had set up for it. So I thought it was going to do the adverse thing, as I've talked about a couple of times on this show. This trailer I thought was excellent, man. I know there's been a conversation about like how the protagonist looks, the de-beautification of female protagonists in gaming. And there's certainly a place for that conversation. I get it. But I'm just, as a Star Wars fan who's always said, how in this entire history of great games and also many bad ones, do we not have any sort of open world Star Wars game? We have like open zone experiences like Jedi Survivor being the closest, but how do we not have an open world game? And Outlaws is that answer. And Ubisoft, for all the shit I give them, they do craft a reliable, I would say, open world. And the difference with this one, Matt, why do you have a little bit of optimism? This is massive. And they made The Division 1 and 2. This is a team that actually does different things at Ubisoft. They have a couple of teams within Ubisoft that hit these different things. Like you look at Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. That was a great video game, man. And that was different from anything Ubisoft had done in a while, that Metroidvania approach. I think that was the Rayman team. And like Rayman Legends was, again, not very much your typical familiar Ubisoft game, but it's phenomenal. So they have the capability to do that. The Division had some of the markings of a Ubisoft game, but with how they handled that seamless open world with like PvPvE, the Dark Zone, like that's a team that can cook good ideas. And the Division 2 was fantastic, man. So I personally, looking at this game, feel optimistic, not just because it looks great. It takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, as I'm sure people could tell with Han Solo, Frozen, and Carbonite. And so what I'm looking at this as, number one, I have not so far seen any indications that our hero is going to turn out to be this character who joins the rebellion. It seems like a story rooted in gang warfare, in the slums of Coruscant and whatnot, and building off of that. The writing, it's a Ubisoft game, so I'm not going to hold my breath. The writing, though, didn't seem that bad. Like the character interaction, the banter, the one-liners, there was a good quality control on it, which I don't really ever say about Ubisoft games, especially I went in on them with Assassin's Creed Mirage recently. That I thought with its character interactions in rush developments just was not well thought out. So we'll see if Outlaws brings any of that to the forefront. But what I saw is just, I think this looks great. And so it's coming out August 30th, not much longer now, a little bit over 4 months. And I am stoked. I will be there as soon as I can. I know there's also a little bit of controversy around the pre-orders for the game. They're doing 3-day early access. There's a bunch of versions. I think it can go up to $130. What I'll say is what we always say here: don't pre-order games, man. Just don't. Wait for the reviews or wait till it's $60, $70. You know, don't buy $100+ version of a game you've never played unless you're really excited for the collectibles. But if you're just buying that kind of version for early access, don't let them steal your money. I say this as someone who loves Star Wars. I recently started the Thrawn trilogy. It's kind of like my bounce off book for I finished Way of Kings recently, so I have like the Thrawn books I'm reading now is sort of the bounce off from Words of Radiance. And then I had this moment of just like clear overconsumption, but I like to listen to audiobooks in the shower now. I kind of learned that through reading Way of Kings. And so I used my remaining credit on a High Republic book. So I've just been in this Star Wars mood lately. It's something about when May approaches, baby, you know, get that Star Wars mood. Retro Rewind, we might be visiting some Star Wars soon, you know? So yeah, I'm in that mode, and seeing this trailer, very exciting. I love what they're doing with the game. And so I am pleased. I'm still going to go in with my own little shield up. It went from a great shield to like a buckler is what happened here. Like we have a little bit smaller area of protection. We're still going in with the shield up. Just, I don't need the full great shield, the length of my body to protect me from all this damage. Like I'm going in a little less worried is what I'll say. But we'll see when it comes out. But definitely, as someone who's fond of Star Wars like Sean Mason, I liked what I saw. And I think what they're putting together here actually looks really good. All right.
Looks good.
Next up, we have a bit of a kerfuffle here at EA Motive. So this started off as Battlefield news, and through a report and then a response to that report has turned into Dead Space 2 remake news. Battlefield 2042's 7th season will be the final one when it releases, as EA Motive shifts their focus to the next Battlefield game as part of that connected universe. EA has insisted that the Iron Man game remains an important priority for them. Separately, in the middle of this news, Jeff Grubb was talking about on his Game Mess Morning Show, hey, what's missing from this bunch? That's right, Dead Space. And he says in his report that a Dead Space 2 remake has been shelved due to lackluster sales of the remake from last year. However, a claim that EA has completely denied since then, in their statement saying, normally we don't comment on rumors, but there is no validity to this story. So coming out immediately after the news broke and shutting this down, potentially even indicating that a Dead Space 2 remake is on the way, or at least that the sales were not so bad that they had to shut it down. But a lot to take in here, Cog. A focus on Battlefield and its connected universe continues despite 2042's stumbling and then recovery. We have an Iron Man game remaining a priority, and EA shutting down the notion that a Dead Space 2 remake has been shelved or that there's lackluster sales. What do you make of this, good sir?
Man, this is a funny one because it obviously shout out to Grubb, he's involved. And you know, they came at him. They were like, look, man, we still outside. And I saw Grubb's tweet was, I give you permission to believe EA if you want. But whenever a company says that isn't true, but they don't specify which part of the story they're talking about, well, yeah. He said Dead Space 2 was definitely being planned. They had a code name, and they aren't making it now. But then again, for them to jump out in front now and said that they shot it down, there's no validity to the story. Hey, we shall see. I guess for me, Dead Space 1 remake, obviously so well received. And obviously I saw Maddie, tears of joy. He was so worried. And they came through, and now it makes sense, right? But I didn't know the financial sales of it and stuff like that. So I guess it's a good sign, if the company is saying, hey man, don't, whatever you hearing, because normally they don't jump out in front of things, but we'll see. This is one of those weird ones. Where do you stand on it? You think that hope is alive? We getting that too. Where you at with it?
Such a weird situation. Yeah, it's so funny to be on this side of history, right? I was just going in the biggest doubter, and I'm coming out going, make the damn sequel now. The thing is Dead Space 2, I don't want to say it, but like it kind of, I don't know if it actually needed a remake. A re-release would be great. A remake, of course, with that team, they really understood what made Dead Space 1 special because of how they thread that needle. So I trust completely that they would get a Dead Space 2 remake right. The thing is, I want Dead Space 2 remake less because I want to relive that game, which I think is phenomenal, by the way, and more because I want them to get the 3. If there's any game in that series that needs a remake and a complete do-over, it's Dead Space 3, man. Like, that's the main reason I want them to do that. But what I got to say is, if it's true, if the sales floundered so much that they can't do this, I got to talk to the people. Where were you all? Why is everyone jizzing their pants over Resident Evil? You just let potentially the sequel to the best survival horror game ever made flounder to the point. You can't be doing us like this, man. This is important to us all. Like, this is the game that took Resident Evil and its formula and evolved it while they're still sending you to fucking castles and old European towns and shit. They evolved it, and you just let it go. All right, I'm done teasing you all. In all seriousness, like, yeah, I want them to do it, but they seem to have a full plate either way, right? You look at the Iron Man game, the Battlefield game. Do they even have the ability to do this, right? I'm surprised that they're sticking to their Battlefield plan. I'm guessing the recovery of 2042 has been so strong that they found it worth sticking with. They've had members of that connected Battlefield verse team make early exits. They've shut down parts of that team. So I'm surprised that they're kind of sticking with it here.
Yeah,
but
have Vince over there too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, true. That's a big part of it. So as long as he's there, the plan remains, right?
Yeah.
But I'll always be a Battlefield fan. I'm a huge lover of the earlier Battlefield games. I have to be frank and say I haven't played much 2042 due to its sketchy launch. Now it's getting its 7th season. I'm wanting to check it out at some point. But yeah, this is a really interesting situation. I don't blame EA if they're looking at Iron Man and kind of viewing that as the potential higher ceiling compared to a Dead Space 2 remake. And same thing with Battlefield, like to see it crawl out of the gutters there and get this sort of redemption in getting this far. And I know they left out some ridiculous features like a scoreboard. I get that all, but the impressions I've heard of the game now are relatively positive. So it's an interesting spot to see this company in because they have a lot of great options in front of them. You have your answer to survival horror that keeps you in that part of the genre. You have your answer to first-person shooting that keeps you in that side of the genre. And you have your superhero game. You already know the superhero game's not going to get dropped because, again, highest ceiling. Battlefield probably has the longest leg. So, if we're to believe Grubb here, who's saying, like, it's canceled, I get why, they would kind of have more reservation about doing that versus the other two options. Me, personally, I'd say go give Battlefield to another team and let this team work on what they're really good at, because I've never heard of a team that makes really good remakes for survival horror games suddenly transitioning into a really good first-person shooter developer. But what the fuck do I know? Yeah, that's where I stand on the whole thing, man.
Yeah.
It's a weird situation.
It's a weird situation. Yeah, we got to see. All I could get from it is that when I saw Vince and his team moved over to Battlefield, that signaled to me that they consider Battlefield one of the core pillars, within EA. And they want the fixer to get it, right? But yeah, this is a very confusing situation as far as Dead Space 2. I don't know where this is going. We just got to see how this plays out.
Yeah, Jeff Grubb said around 1 million sales. So for Dead Space Remake 1, which is definitely softer than I would have anticipated.
Yeah.
All right. Next up here, Pocket Pair with a little announcement. PAL Arena PvP mode for Palworld 3v3. It's announced and it's coming this year, so the updates and the support continue. Cog, will this pull you back in?
Yeah, I might check it out. Like I said, it's the only little cog in the playground game that was funny enough and wild enough to get my interest. So I was like, all right, y'all enslaving people and y'all beating up animals and doing all type of craziness in this. And I did like the designs were funny, even though they were a lot very similar to others.
Yeah.
But no, look, the PvP should do something, for that community, and
sure,
they continue to support it. So again, this is a great get for Xbox. I always felt that, again, not missing out and also having something to their own, which ends up becoming a mini phenomenon. So they're still rocking and rolling. I'm very curious as to how far they are from official release, but it's cool to see the support because this game is definitely bigger than they had anticipated.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm kind of over Palworld, so yeah, we got Tekken to play, we got Dragon's Dogma to play, we got some other JRPGs to play. No disrespect to the game, but yeah, I'm for those who are still playing, who are still invested, PvP mode is on the way.
Yes.
But if you really like multiplayer, boy, do we have a game to talk about here. 33 Immortals. It's got 33 players live on screen, and it's getting a closed beta on May 24th on Xbox Series X and S, Epic Game Store, and Windows PC. So Epic sneaking in there, getting that deal done. No Steam. What do you make of this, Cog? Will you be checking out the closed beta if you get access to it?
Yes, for sure. This was what I had my eye on last year. I thought it was like the 33-player multiplayer roguelite, looked absolutely crazy, frenetic, bosses, things of that nature. What's funny is, even though it's not turn-based, the art style is giving me a Banner Saga vibe. That the way the animations are.
Yeah,
so, I just want to see how it lands. There's still a little, I don't want to say stiffness on certain things, but I am willing to see where it goes. It looks like it has a lot of potential. I'm dying to know how a multiplayer 33, players involved roguelite kind of goes. So this one has my interest.
Yeah, I find it curious because you know what it is it's kind of a bit of, I'll admit, the Phil Spencer effect. There's certain games that he or his team really get behind and they think are super unique. And I'm always wary of those because for some industry veterans, they just like different because it's different, right? Like you've been here for 30 years, you've seen every type of game, you have your preferred taste, but like when you see something, 33 players, like cool, this is different. And sometimes they just get behind it because of that. But this one, you mentioned the Banner Saga. Oh fuck! Damn! Did I just cut off my PC?
Uh-oh. You still with us? You still with me? You still with me?
You can hear me?
Yeah.
All my shit just shut off. I thought I just.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Am I live?
Yeah, you still
okay.
Here.
I don't know.
You still here, baby. You ain't get ready.
Dude, I literally stretched my leg out and I kicked the power. I just saw my screens go black, and that's why I was like, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "Damn." Hot mic.
The screens are back though.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, cool.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. We'll leave that one in. Someone can meme that one up. Yeah, what was I even talking about?
No, you were talking about.
So I can see this being a game that they wanted to get behind because you mentioned the art style. I think it looks really unique. Not many games doing that sort of a Banner Saga art style. And also, it could lead to some pretty dynamic moments. I think it's kind of like is it like a roguelike almost?
Maybe, I hope I'm correct with that.
Maybe I'm
wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's the thing. It was like a game. That's the only reason I was a little wary on 33 Immortals is I thought it was a game that
co-op roguelike. I'm on the site Thunder Lotus Games.
Okay.
Co-op action roguelike for 33 players.
Yeah, I thought they were a little light on certain like show and tells with that, but okay, cool. Yeah, so it looks solid enough to me. Where I'm interested to try it out.
Pick up and raid, cooperate to survive hordes of monsters, defeat massive bosses, and face the wrath of God and fight for your eternal life. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they going all out with it.
Well, we'll see, but I am excited to check it out because, again, it's a game that the Xbox team seems to really have some faith in, and so I'm curious to see what they're gassing up.
Yes.
All right. Canceled Nolanverse Batman game has been leaked. This one came from Monolith originally, and this is the game that eventually became Shadow of Mordor. And I thought this was really interesting. Apparently, it got shut down because Christopher Nolan did not like the direction the game was heading in. But this is a an open world game that again was based in the Nolanverse, and there's tons of gameplay and it looks great. I was very surprised to see this one got shut down. It's also a testament to how much say Nolan has in the project, that he overruled pretty much like DC and Warner Bros. Is like, no, shut that shit down. But um, we also see here in this IGN report, they mentioned that Gotham Knights maker WB Games Montreal had a Damian Wayne Batman game canceled. So this wouldn't be the first or the last. It's a real shame with how things are turning out on the Batman side of video games between Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad. It should be much better than it actually is. But yeah, right now Monolith is working on what is a Wonder Woman game. But if you look at some of the threads here, like the UI was done, there was like voice work there. The costume is straight out of Nolanverse games. They even have a lot of the sensibilities that you'd come to expect from the Arkham games. It was really cool. Like you could tell it was unfinished, but there were like stealth sequences that like changed the art style completely, kind of giving Batman this purple hue and only the whites of his eyes could be seen. They had these segments that were very much like the detective mode. It's a really cool looking game. And that's kind of the unfortunate part when cancel games leak, because they always look they're not done, and it's like you always wonder what could have been, but you don't know everything in between that could have been awful. So yeah, I thought it was just an interesting story that I wanted to pick up on. So Cog, any thoughts on this canceled Batman game?
Yeah, good catch. I never knew this. This is very interesting, man, because obviously, Monolith and the history, obviously we know of Shadow of Mordor, but obviously we know what they come from, right? And that Arkham and that Batman style, and you see Nolan would have been involved with it, right? Again, it's one of those, woulda, shoulda, what could have been kind of thing. And it looks phenomenal. It really does. Obviously, I'm very happy about, one thing that birthed from it, which is the Nemesis system, which I think me and Attic always rave about as one of the greatest, modern systems in gaming, where the enemies actually remember the encounters and what happened, and, they're tougher and things of that nature. I love that system. So yeah, and it would look like it was going to be included in the Batman game. So yeah, on one hand, it's a shame, obviously that we didn't get that style of Batman game. I'm looking at them flying through the city. I'm looking at the detective work. I'm looking at the designs of the Batman. Oh, it do look fire. I ain't go for it. It looks really, really cool. But at the same time, Shadow of Mordor, gotta respect. It still was a good game in itself. But I think this is something that's more commonplace in game development that we don't realize. So I'm glad you shine some light on it.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool find here, and it's amazing how long it takes for these things to sneak out with all of those details and all that gameplay. So I recommend people check it out, because again, it's really fascinating to see what would become Shadow of Mordor, because it's not like we were on the losing side there. Shadow of Mordor is an amazing video game. I love that game. I haven't played Shadow of War really at all, so I can't really comment on that. But Shadow of Mordor, I got the platinum for. Like, that game rules. As someone who enjoys the Lord of the Rings video games, like that was a real treat. That was one of those moments where that's what I'm like hoping for when it comes to Star Wars Outlaws. Like, look, it's totally cool if you give me that Ubisoft open world, but like, can you give me an experience beyond that? And like, of course, that was the birth of the Nemesis system. So not really a terrible trade-off, but to think about a Batman game that could have had those systems implemented, what could have been? Very interesting nonetheless. All right. We have details on the Sands of Time remake. This comes from Insider Gaming, where they report the game is being completely redone from Ubisoft Mumbai and Prune, with the previous work not being used, which is why it's been off the radar for so long, it seems. Prince of Persia Sands of Time's remake's overhaul also includes a more realistic approach, according to one source. Everything is built from the ground up, which includes a graphical overhaul, new animations, mechanics for combat, parkour, etc. It's starting from scratch, meaning the game has been rewritten, captured in mocap, etc. And Yuri Lowenthal is not back for his role as the prince. Very interesting to see here that we're going to get 2 Prince of Persia games before any sort of showing of Sands of Time remake, because they announced a new one in the Rogue, which is like this Dead Cells meets Prince of Persia type game. So 2 2D Prince of Persia games kind of popping out here in place of the Sands of Time remake. Any thoughts on this one, though, Cog? Here, we got ourselves a pretty significant leak for a game that we haven't seen much of in a while. Remember, it was supposed to come out I don't even remember its original release date, but there was no word or trailer or anything. And then one day Ubisoft just indefinitely delayed it. So what are our thoughts on this?
They got a lot of stuff going on. Bro, they got a lot of stuff going on between them and EA. It's always something going on with them. But yeah, didn't expect this one. And again, to see another 2D. I come from that era. That's when I kind of introduced to Prince of Persia. And it was truly revolutionary for its time. It was, the animation, the difficulty, the sword play, the platforming. I remember playing that. I think King was the one that showed me that game for the first time. And I was just like, man, I see the jump in gaming, right? So yeah, they want to capture a moment. Obviously, we just finished, having the other release, and people really liked it. So it is interesting. We get another one before the 3D. So that is they're hitting the gold mine up. So we'll see how it do. I'm curious to see financially how these games do.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Kyle, enough of the news for now. It's time for what games we have been playing. Sir, as always, I'd like for you to go first.
Yeah, man, it's a busy week. I'm going to start off with Dogma 2. This is probably one of the first games in a long time where I find myself not pressured, but doing all the side quests. Like, I am doing a ton of side quests. And now I have a dilemma, man.
All right, let's hear it.
The dilemma is these pawns, man. They think they slick, bro. Now I'm running around with these red eyes, and I'm like, bro, you got that thing, man. You got that Dragon's Blade. You think you slick, trying to infect my man. You trying to infect Sir Podrick. We can't have Sir Podrick. That's my man. He does my bidding, does what he's told. He catches me from long falls. He's my strategic archer. So there's a couple of pawns that had to let go and do some things too, because they are corrupting situations. Also, the new thing is I am running into pawns who think they slick and covering their eyes and wearing masks. And won't take their masks off to show me, bruh, do you got that thing or not? You know what I'm saying? So that's the new thing right now. And it's hilarious. I'm absolutely loving the game. It is awesome. So basically, right now, I'm doing a lot of side quests. I'm also upgrading. I found some tips and tricks to upgrade my role, get some serious weapons right now. Yeah. Oh my Lord. I got this thing to get my encumbrance down. I got some serious blades right now. So I'm trying to power myself up before I move. I forgot the name of the town. It's kind of like something with a B. I forgot. But I'm in Melv and the other one a little bit more, doing a lot of the side stories and stuff like that. So I've been having a ball with it. This is one of the few things where I'm like, okay, I do need to advance the quest now. But I'm having fun. And you know what it is? This is where the pressure of decaying quests is kind of leading me to this. Because I don't want it to, I want to try to have the best possible ending or situation going. And I want to be powerful. And I think that's what it is. So that's where a lot of my stuff is leading me to right now. And I love my team composition right now. So I'm still having a ball with Dogma. That's been it right there. I know you've been playing Dogma, so you can lead right in.
Yeah, sure. That's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, I've been playing it too. I've been rocking with the warrior vocation lately, which is the exact polar opposite of what I was playing before, right? I was doing the thief. I fully ranked up the thief. I've moved over to this big, bulky, two-handed warrior, big heaving swings. I went from getting knocked on my ass every fight to just tolerating every attack coming my way. It's a really interesting switch up in power, and I love how the vocations just completely change your play style, right? I mean, yes. Again, I was the thief, so really good at climbing on enemies, targeting those weak spots, stabbing them, rapid attacks, doing my gut and run and falling off of them and just doing massive damage.
Do you do the flip up?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I suck at that for some reason. Like, I don't know when the timing of, like, that jump up and he does the spin. I don't know. I feel like I don't be doing proper damage.
I guess it depends what enemy you're fighting, right? I don't. Okay, so what I do is you get the ability where you mash square while you're standing still and you just swing wild, right?
Oh, that one.
Yeah, you just like swing wild. So that's really good because, like, I killed my first griffin a week or so ago, and I think ensnare is an ability you want. Dude, this motherfucker thought he could get away from me. I threw that shit in the air and pulled his ass down.
Come here.
That rope is built different.
Yes,
that rope is built different. Yeah. I pulled him back down to planet Earth, and just started to destroy his face afterwards. I found that Ensnare, Helm Splitter is the move you're talking about. I don't use that super often. I like Cutting Wind because you get to just dash at your enemies. You clear a lot of ground fast.
That's ninja move right there.
And then Gut and Run is good when you want to like jump on someone's face, hit the weak spot, and do a ton of damage and just fall off of them. So that's my usual build out, but I don't use the Helm Splitter. That's good for like the trolls or the ogres where they like take a knee after you weaken their legs and they take a knee and then you go up and just hit their face a bunch and then land. But with this warrior, there's a big sweeping attack you can do where you just spin in circles over and over. That's good for smaller enemies. And I have this ascending attack where I kind of just cleave upwards, which is really good. I love how they change how like different vocations scale the enemy. So when I'm crawling up a big enemy and I press the square, I attack them with the hilt of my weapon and it does more damage, but it's slower. But when I press triangle, your dude hops off and just pulls the weapon above his head and comes down on the enemy. And it's insane. And then there's the other animations for when you're on top of like the nape of their neck.
I love it.
And if you hold triangle when you got the two-handed sword, it's funny, I picked up a hammer, so he does it with a hammer, but he goes up and does this stab right into the back, and it's awesome. So
satisfying.
It's an extremely fun game to play. I'm doing the same thing as you. Like last night, I was just wandering, roaming. I was looking for a side quest. I think it was a lapsed one where the dude who gave me the quest is dead now. So I just love getting lost and not knowing what I'm doing because it just leads me to the best things in this game. I've found my way to a Sphinx, and she has now offered me the ability to do a puzzle. It's funny, leading up to this Sphinx, there's dead bodies everywhere. I'm just like, well, and you're sending these steps, and I'm like, I'm going somewhere important right now. And she goes, we could fight, but you already saw what happened to everyone else. Yeah, right. I was going, oh shit, she's kind of right. So I haven't done anything yet. It was like 1:30. I was like, okay, I know me. This is responsible, Maddie. I'm going to save my game, and that's tomorrow's story, which is today. And so we'll figure out what's going on there. But
what location? What part of the map?
There's the ancient battleground, and there is a cave system connected to it that leads there. And it'll lead to like a Sphinx nest, and it's intense. I'm just like, wow, this is just sitting out here, and she's talking to me and threatening me pretty much. So it's great. So I've been loving the game as well.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, so that's the Dogma. And then obviously, if you've been paying attention to my timeline, certain game of mine, certain love of my life is the patient went from, no signs of life to each week I talk to you, I'm like, okay, I see a pulse. But I have to admit, Destiny had the Into the Light streams the last 3 weeks. And then last past week, they had the Final Shape stream. And coming in, Maddie, I'm extremely nervous. I'm just like, okay, this is the big culmination, right? This is the 10 years, what are they going to do? And I'm just going to say right off the bat, this is one of those updates, and Bungie's notorious for this. They're like the kid who cruises through class, getting 55, 65s on their report card. But when it's time for the final exam, when the back is against the wall to graduate to the next grade, or you fail and you're out of here, you get left back, they find a way to knock it out the park. And I have to admit, the most skeptical part of me was like, no, CoD, they cooking. And here's why.
You want me to read these write-ins for you?
Please.
Yeah, they both kind of ask the same thing. So let's hear from Beloved Emperor. Dear New Light Maddie and D1 Alphabet COG.
Yes, sir.
This question is more of a COG question, but Maddie, feel free to give your thoughts. This is all COG, so I won't be chiming in. COG, we are so back over here in Destiny 2 land. What are your thoughts on Tuesday's reveals about the final shape? In your opinion, why does it always seem that Bungie only cooks up greatness when their back is against the wall? Thanks for providing great content each week. P.S. I hope you both have I've waited 10 years for a new enemy race and the dread are finally here kind of day. Meanwhile, Kazdan Risk writes, hey, Dukes, this one's for COG. How about that Destiny 2 live stream? We are so back in Bungie cooked. While the hype is real, I can't help but be cautiously optimistic after the recent year of news with the studio. Take care and have a Prismatic doesn't include my favorite melee kind of day. P.S. There's times a rumor of a Destiny 3 finally happening, and Luke Smith definitely teased a future of Destiny beyond what we know. Any bonus thoughts on that? Take care. So, Cog, this is all you. Take it away.
Oh, that's the realm of the Dukes came through. Yeah. Beloved Emperor, Casimir. All right, let's start with Beloved Emperor. Yeah, man. My thoughts on the reveal, it was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. One thing this company knows how to do is market a DLC. But what they did was a different approach. I thought they were going to give us light and just say story, beats, that kind of thing, which we kind of knew. Oh, no. They ripped the Band-Aid off, showed gameplay. But here's the thing, Maddie. For years, it's like Void, Solar, Arc. These are your abilities, right? Mm-hmm. They came up with this thing called Prismatic, which now is symbolic of the name Final Shape, which is, what if we combined all the powers in Destiny and completely break the game?
Ooh.
Balance be damned. You want the dark freezing stasis subclass? You can do that.
What about with the PvP bros that we were all going to war for? What's happening with them if we're breaking the game's balance?
I feel sorry for the PvP balance team. I don't know how they're going to do this.
Continue.
That's a subject that is a great question and a subject for another day, because I know PvP is like, man, we just got a team and y'all did this?
Yeah.
How are we going to balance this in competitive?
You got to go earn your paycheck.
Hey, man, you know what you signed up for. PvE always gets a little bit priority here, brother. Yeah. But nah, bro, they did it. And the thing about it, it just flows so seamlessly, and it just opens up build crafting potential to the umpteenth degree. They've completely changed the way Destiny is being played, right? It looked phenomenal. But here's the other thing. Mm-hmm. Like Casimir said, for years, people like Bungie. It's been the Fallen, the Vex, the Hive, which are always great enemies. We had Scorn, which are kind of like a, knockoff Fallen. They were a little zombie-like. But it's like, how are we going to be fighting the Witness that got all these pyramid ships? And in these pyramid ships is only the Witness and one enemy type. So it didn't lead into the illusion of the great threat, right? Of this threat coming to wipe out the universe. Oh, bro. This Dread class, bro.
The new class?
Now, they call it the Dread, a whole new bro. Okay. A whole new enemy class, like 5-6 enemy types. They got these flying things. I call them the Gat Bats. They got guns. They're stealing your abilities. They've got people using your stuff against me. And here's where Witch Queen was dope. What I love they're doing. Why Witch Queen was dope, because they had the why am I forgetting them now? The Guardian Hive, right? The Lucent Hive, which were using supers against you. Mm-hmm. Things that you used to do. And I'm talking about one-hitter quitters, Maddie, where it is a threat. You see them on the battlefield, you go, oh God, oh no, we got it. That's when Destiny is at its greatest, when the challenge is there, the enemies are threatening, and the campaign feels weighty. And again, I don't want to get too crazy, because they got to still nail this lore and they got to nail this campaign. But from what we've seen from a pure gameplay standpoint, enemy factions, redoing the thing, exotic class, they are doing stuff. You know what they're doing? This is why it's so great. Mm-hmm. Every Destiny fan like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could mix up the classes and do this? Wouldn't it be cool if we could wear more than one exotics? Oh, no, we're doing that. Oh, no, we're doing it. Now we got an exotic class item for this new class that mixes everything together. And you can mix the perks of exotic armors and weapons together. They are pulling out all the stops. Okay. Like every single thing that Destiny fans have always wanted and asked for. Why don't you do that? Oh, yeah, you're going to do it. So I have a theory. We know about those those pre-orders prior. We know about the targets that wasn't reached before. Part of me feels rip the Band-Aid off, send this thing off with the most explosive thing going. But the key thing, and this is, I think, what Kaz said, when I saw Luke Smith, we have not seen Luke Smith. He's the former director of Destiny from the OG days. Yeah. He has been then elevated to be like the Kevin Feige of Destiny, which is we don't see him anymore. Okay. When he comes out before this stream, and you got to understand, for Destiny, he's the beacon of hope. He's the one that when they broke free from Activision, Activision was like, yo, yeah, he was like, y'all ain't reach out expectations. He was like, oh, no, we're proud of Forsaken. And we think it was the rallying cry so when you see Luke, it's like brave. We like, oh, Luke Smith is back, baby.
They're pressing all the buttons is what I'm understanding.
They hit every emotional key. I was sitting there like, if we gonna die, we going with Luke, baby. That's how it felt, bro. Like I was so open. I'm trying not to get crazy because look, they still got to nail it. Pre-order still got to be what it be. But as a person, and Sacred Boys, don't come for me. I personally don't want them taken over by Sony's board. I want them to retain who they are. Because to me, the key of who they are is live service, the best shooting, the best sandboxes, raids, and all this stuff. There's still a ways to go. They got to knock the campaign out and they got to knock the raid out. But if they do, this would be probably one of the greatest comebacks. This would be one of the light our darkest hours.
It's literally like back against the wall for them right now.
So right now we got Destiny Into the Light, which is the free content right now, which is I'll be honest, I'm such a sucker for horde modes, and this is a fun horde. It's not as complex as Gears 5 or Horde or Gears Horde. I will give Gears the title on that, but for them to put this together in 2 months to give us all this content as a lead up towards Final Shape is really impressive. So I started playing a ton of it this last day. It's a ton of fun. The challenge, you got 50 waves. Then you got boss rush encounters. They're throwing everything. They're literally breaking the game. They're doing all type of stuff. So it's a fun little mode. You grind out weapons. They're doing like certain classic weapons and stuff each week that are kind of time gated and some missions and stuff. But look, if you're interested in getting back in Destiny, this is the time. Free $99. Completely free, all this kind. And for guys like Matt, if you just got a little time, hey, you haven't been playing, your light level is trash.
I'm busy, unfortunately.
You're busy. I'm just saying, for guys like you who may have interest at this point, you've got a lot going on right now. But
I'm just kidding, yeah.
As soon as you jump in, there's a chest right next to Shaq. Boom. You got all the gear. They even got this thing called a pack for all the powerful builds that you may have missed out. So for rookies who don't know anything about that, really cool stuff. So yeah, that's been that. And then lastly, of course, the defining Duke Tekken edition. I've been grinding hardcore ranks. I've been really grinding. I took one day, I said, you know what, Harang, you're good right now. I'm comfortable. Not that you're perfect. We always could work on things, but I got to get Lee in a place where I don't have to bring Harang outside. And the problem was Lee is struggling with Victor, struggling with Reyna.
Reyna is a toughie. The way she just rolls around.
Oh, the rolling and the in your face.
She's got this one roll that's like a counter that if you kick her, she just rolls you and just brings lightning down on you. Yes. It's unbelievable.
Reyna, I've seen some of the Banes, and I just took I took my beatings, but I finally got him in a place of comfort. And he's now up to, I think it's, I forgot, was it blue or red rank, whatever it is. It's like Ganryu, something called. He's up there. He's getting up there. He's Lee by himself is like, Cog, I got it. We're learning what to do situationally. And there's some matchups that Lee ain't scared. He'd be like, Steve, come on. Jen, come on. Like certain people, he'd be like, Cog, I got it. You think I'll handle him. So right now he's handling Eddie Gordo.
Okay.
Lee is like, bro, I
have yet to brave Eddie Gordo. I'll admit, I have not played since he's come out. I'm a little nervous to step back in because you know what's happened? I lost a step with like playing a couple other things. And now it's like, I got to go in. I got to lab with Yoshi. I want to do it in the first place. So I've probably had to double my efforts now. And then I got this new guy coming in. So I got to do it probably next week is when I'm going to get that started.
Yeah. I fought one of the best Yoshi players. This man handled me. Like,
he's a threat.
Bro, he got some joint that the minute you try to respond, he like dips to the side. And I'm like, damn, I can't even hit him. I can't get him. I'm like, well, what's going on? Like, I fought some serious Yoshis. I had to download that ghost. I was like, I got to practice this. This is crazy. If I get beat that bad, I'm like, oh, no. We going to download you. We going to see what you do. So, yeah, that's been pretty much it. There's a lot of gaming this week. And I'm in a good place. You know, all my favorite games for the most part are cooking right now. And I'm good. So what about you? What you been rocking?
Well, yeah, I talked about Dragon's Dogma 2. The other main game I've been rocking this week is Mega Man Zero or Mega Man Zero 2, I should say. My buddy texted me. He was looking to get into Mega Man. He's like, what should I play? And, I just gave him like the whole suite of options. I said, there's Battle Network. I said, there's the X series. He's like, I played X8 and I played X. I'm like, in my opinion, you've played the best, but there's still, X2, 3, 4, which are great. Do not touch X7, that type of thing. X7 is one of the worst games, if not the worst game I've ever played. But yeah, so there's a lot of great X games. I was telling Battle Network, if you're looking for more like an RPG game with a cozy story, I said, or there's Zero. So I only played Mega Man Zero 1, but it's got a really good story in my opinion. Like that ending, man, that like if you're an X fan, that shit hits you in the feels. I also said it's one of the most hard games that you can play. The fact that game launched without any sort of save assist on the Game Boy Advance. I don't if anyone is listening and you beat Mega Man Zero before the collection came out, a salute to you. That game is impossibly difficult at times, for me at least. But he got into it, and this man, it's an ego check moment. He gets through it in about a day and a half. Now, I remember when it took me a total like 7 hours to beat, according to the PS5 clock. You know, I don't know if that's give or take, but it took me about 7 hours to beat Mega Man Zero 1. And I remember like cursing at my TV, getting annoyed. I was like, fuck, man, like this. I was like, this damn boss. Like, it was such a difficult game for me, but I got through it. And he got through it so quick. I was like, hold on. Now I got to go back and I got to see like what's going on here. I got to see if there's something wrong with me. And so Mega Man Zero 2 might be more difficult than Mega Man Zero, but here's what we're doing. Now we're going through the series together. It's more like, all right, these games aren't super long. You know, this will be really fun for us to go through like tough games together and just kind of give each other strategies. And so for those who have played Mega Man Zero, you get the opening missions. It opens up in a sick way, like Zero's a year after the events of the game. There's like a sandstorm. He's covered in like a robe and he's kind of fighting through. He's weakened and he's battling through like the remaining Neo Arcadia soldiers. And it's like all out combat. Sick. There's 4 missions afterwards where you kind of unlock the initial elements of like electricity, frost, and fire to pretty much use those to target the weaknesses of other enemies, provided your weapon is leveled up enough. I had like relearn some stuff with this game. Like for those who have played X, for example, you can like charge your attack and it'll do like a different effect. In this game, though, there's like a leveling up system. So once you get to level 4 with like your Buster or your Z Saber or your Chain Rod, you unlock like an advanced charge attack that you can do, which lets out these elements. So at first I'm fighting, I think his name was like Flame Mignon or something like that. This dude handled me so much that I had to take a break for a night. Like I got destroyed for like an hour straight by this man. And it's because I didn't have access to the elements. I had a level 3 Z Saber, so I couldn't do the charge attack. So I couldn't target his weakness. And I was like, I need perfection here. I was like, you know what? Let me just go and grind a little bit. So I go back earlier into the level. I get to level 4. I come back and I annihilate this man. I annihilate him. I put him in the dirt. I rinse the next boss, the Frost Snow Bear, in 2 tries. I'm feeling good. There's this one mission. It's sick. It's like it involves the Operation Righteous Strike for those who have played, and it's like a boss gauntlet. And I get to the end, and there's this pincer boss. Y'all who played know who I'm talking about. This dude again just putting me over the edge. I beat him last night though, but put me over the edge where I'm like, fuck this guy. It's so good. But eventually finding out he's weak to frost, figure out his mechanics. Like it is a 2D game, but it reminds me so much of how I feel about the Souls-like games. It's got an interesting world. I love Mega Man, so I'm into the story. But these boss fights, like that's what you're here for. The platforming and the stages are really tough, but it's doable. But the boss fights are what you're here for, man. And like when I'm scratching and clawing my way through, man, there's no better feeling. It's awesome. So
classic.
Yeah, just really been enjoying Mega Man Zero 2. I think I'm probably almost done with it now, and looking forward to moving on to Zero 3 at some point down the line. All right, Cog. That is what we're playing. Next up here, we have a question about Persona 6 and its color has been revealed, so to say. So we have it right in here from James Hill. Hey, Double D's, with Midori's credible leak of the color theme for Persona 6 Green Bucket Theory confirmed, it's only a matter of time before Atlas shows it off. Maddie, when do you think we'll see P6? And what would you like from the story? Have a why is this 16-year-old transfer student saying, let's kill God kind of day. Yeah, so this is something that I talked about. It was either going to be green or purple. And we said green would be the new color. It would make sense. And purple would be fun, but that was the original Persona's color, so maybe not. But yeah, green is ending up being the color. And this is important because usually the color speaks to the themes of the game. And I've always had this feeling that, okay, this is a game that's development definitely started during the pandemic. And I just get this feeling you're going to be like a medical student or you're at a medical academy, something along those lines. And that's always been my gut feeling. Anytime me and my friends speculated about Persona 6, like that's what we thought. Medical student or something about pandemic or something about sickness or something about illness. And that is going to be the theme of this game. And you're going to be like a medical student. That's always been our prediction since we beat Persona 5 Royal in 2020. We're like, I got to do some type of medical driven storyline. Like that would make sense. Apparently, this same leaker, I think, also said that it's going to be in a high school again, which I think is a little disappointing. I was hoping they would do like a college campus or something a little bit older. It hasn't held back the mature stuff they want to tackle in the past, but I just think like that's the natural progression of the series. Like just bring it to a college campus, like elevate all of the shit that you can do. I think that'd be really interesting. But yeah, when it comes to like when we'll see Persona 6, I would say, we got Persona 5 Royal in 2020. I would say within the next year. I would say it's possible by the end of this year, frankly. Like I wouldn't say that's out of, because when you look at, it's been 7 years since Persona 5, the original had like come out. Before that, it was a year before it was revealed. So it wouldn't surprise me if Atlas, revealed Persona 6 and had kind of a long build up to it again, especially because I think this is going to be the big one for them. 5 was the big one. 4 was really the big one too, as far as I'm concerned. But 5 was really the big one, but now we're going to see what I think will be multi-plat Persona. And we saw what that did for Persona 3 Reload, where, million sales right off the rip. We saw what it did for Yakuza. So I'm keen, and they've really been growing Persona with Game Pass. So they've kind of paid their dues there. So now it's time to kind of cash in and see how many people are going to buy Persona 6. So I think this is going to be a big testament to seeing how much the series has grown, because I've always said I think it's next in line, right next to Final Fantasy. Like this is the next big one, and so we'll see what it turns out to be. But I think it could potentially happen this year. The only reason I say maybe not is you wait for Metaphor ReFantazio to come out, do its thing. That's true. That's like from the original Persona team, like the team working on Persona 6. The only reason I'm a little wary of it is a lot of that team is not from the ones who delivered us like 3, 4, and 5. That's Metaphor ReFantazio. That's why I'm excited for that game. So this is a new director, different team, kind of. So Persona 6 might feel like a different beast. We'll see how crazy it gets. But it's also like I can't talk the talk and not walk the walk. So like I've always said, Fallout, I want to see them get more hands on it. I'm not going to be against Persona getting different hands on it and seeing what it becomes, right? Because each game feels different. And I think that's important. So getting a new team on it, if you will, a new director on it, isn't a bad thing, especially when I think those core tenets are going to last because you have so much of the series to reflect on. So it could be mildly concerning, but not like totally worried about it. So yeah, Persona 6. Cog, any thoughts on this?
I mean, no, I'm glad you broke that down. I learned a lot just now. Yeah, no, this is super cool. I didn't realize that Metaphor had the original team, and that, salute to them for, still not wanting the game to be missed in a generation, right? Isn't that like really cool? Like when there's like a very popular franchise that people really, have an affinity for, and they're like, you know what, we have another team that can work on that. It's really cool, not saying anything. Just a novel idea,
it's pretty smart. I don't know, business sense,
business and stuff.
Fans don't gotta wait 8 years for a new game.
Yeah, they're gonna wait for another console.
You don't have to be an entirely new decade of your life to get the newest entry of a game that came out in 2011 even. I don't know.
Facts. Like it's really revolutionary. But aside from that, I am here for selfish purposes and for jokes. So this is the best yes I'm going to be. I love that the color could potentially be green. I love that the color could be green. And hey, if the rumors are to be believed, might be launching on a certain platform day and day. That's what
I was wondering why you're saying green.
That's what I'm here for. So you go Persona 6. You go with that green vision if your heart inclines you to do. You go with that.
Yeah, Xbox, if they can If they could do something with that green.
And if you decide, Tokyo Game Show would be a great day to just reveal that you're working on something with a green color skew for a platform, it would help my bets between my brothers and the other lords. It's one lord that I've just been waiting to hold him foot to the fire, and all I need is this bet to come true.
Yes.
Holding on. I just need to silence him.
And Cog's coming for him.
He's been right a little bit too much, and it's time to humble him.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm almost there. I feel it, though. I'm close.
All right. Well, fingers crossed on that. We'll see what's going on with Persona 6, hopefully later this year. Number 1, Xbox, the leaky faucet, continues to drip, drip, drip. The Verge writes, Xbox is reportedly having its showcase on June 9th. Rumored reveals include a new Gears of War game, as well as release dates for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, the new Call of Duty, and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now, Jeff Grubb also had reported that Gears 6 is being teased this summer. Shinobi 602, a good friend of mine, says we're not ready for it. And Tom Henderson said, quote, speaking with sources, it's been said that Xbox is gearing up for an announcement on its back catalog of games following the acquisition of Activision Blizzard 2. So Go Forward might not be the only Call of Duty related announcement that we'll be hearing in June. End quote. Let's start off at the top of Gears of War. Andy writes in, hey Dukes, another batch of Gears rumors are among us. What are your hopes and wishes for the Gears of War franchise going forward? My hope is that they give fans what they want in a Phoenix collection this year. Gears 6 next year. Follow that with a Last of Us style spin-off, dark and gritty kind of game. Then do a God of War style reboot on next-gen consoles. Come on, Xbox. Just peek at PlayStation's homework. Have a great day. So I have to say, a little unfortunate for Xbox that all of this is already leaked. I don't feel like we're in the thick of showcase season yet. This is usually kind of May behavior, and here we are in the beginning of April. So, yeah, this kind of sucks, but nonetheless, Cog, a new Gears game being revealed. We know this has been in the works for a while, but now it's getting revealed. What are you hoping for with Gears 6? Is this finally where we get a Gears collection?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Gears collection, I've always had this weird relationship. I don't know if I believe it yet.
It's been reported so many times.
It's been reported so many times.
Many times. Yeah.
Special Nick. Shout out to a lot of people. It's one of those things, I believe it when I see it, but I'm here for this Gears 6. And from what we're hearing, first thing I have to say is we got to put respect on the coalition's name in the sense of before the Black Rock, before Obsidian, before the Playgrounds, before the Ninja Theories, all these people that were there was one studio that held the fort down. And that is the coalition. And we're going to put respect on their graphical fidelity. We're going to put respect on them delivering quality products consistently. And outside of the multiplayer, which I'm probably not the biggest fan of Gears multiplayer per se. I know it's a big community. I'm just not the shotgun roll kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? So I know, hopefully they do some changes there. But outside of that, they've given me great campaigns. They've given me horde mode, and I tell people all the time, one of the biggest mistakes the Xbox Series consoles made is they did not promote Hivebusters more than enough. That was a graphical showpiece to show you what your Series X was capable of at a time when there was no Halo Infinite at launch. And I'm like, what is going on? This thing should have been blasted from the rooftops. And here's what I want. Hivebusters laid the groundwork for what I feel is the future of Gears. I am tired of samey characters. Kate plays the same way as JD, and JD plays the same way as outside of the weapons and it is. What Hivebusters showed is we can have class abilities. One person can have a shield. Another person can have this. I want that unique identity for each Gears character. Also, take from Gears Tactics, which they did a little bit, which is one of the great things Gears Tactics did is they had the Jack robot as a major player on the field. He could go invisible. He couldn't take a lot of damage, but he can go invisible. He could pick up weapons. He could do things. I don't want it just to be a story beat to go between the next corridor. You know what I'm saying? I want you to go all out with that. Now, I know they flirted with the open world a little bit in 5. Mixed results. Some people didn't like the sand thing a little bit. I don't want them to get too crazy with the open world kind of thing, but this is all I care about. Tell a good story, get back to the horror, get back to the dark, get back to the grit. But we had Cliffy B on IOP. One of his things that I have to admit, he wasn't throwing shade. He just said, look, the only disappointment he has is he doesn't feel they're ballsy enough. When you had Gears, back in the day, we had a decision with Dom and we know what happened.
Yeah.
Right? This Gears, they kind of left it in this weird place. What's canon? If you ended Gears 5, what's canon? What's not? I would like a ballsy decision. You're going to have to stand on something here.
You're going to have to make a choice. Yeah. With how Gears 5 ends. Yeah.
Right. Now, I had Jez in the realm. He was like, and Jez and King had this great theory. Like, now this I feel is asking way too much. But they got this theory that because of the way Gears 5 ended, they do like a Mass Effect thing where one playthrough is this way and one playthrough is that.
Okay.
That's a lot asking for me, but hey, if you want to go all out, by all means.
How many years since Gears 5? I mean, maybe.
Maybe. It is an interesting choice. So that's where I'm at with it, man. As far as anything else, and here's the last thing, I gotta say this.
Sure.
For Shinobi and them to say, we just came off of Hellblade. Everyone is saying this is Digital Foundry, every preview. This is the graphical showcase. This is Unreal Engine 5 nanites tech, ray tracing at its best, right? They're saying, oh, you thought that's cute. You thought that was hot? You ain't see nothing yet. What is Coalition do? We know they did the Matrix demo.
Yeah.
Right? Bro, like I am that's why I said I don't play all this doom and gloom stuff, no mind with the game stuff, because my thing, I look at who got the games. They got the games, bro. Like they got them, and they got 10 this year. And for them to announce this with Indiana Jones, and we know about Avowed, and now we not Hellblade. Oh, I'm fine. If you keep giving me, I don't care about what 4 games I played 2 years ago. I really don't care about that. The games are here now. That's what I've been waiting for. We saw the cadence from last year with 2023. I told people that's what I want to see, and now here we go. But back to this. Yeah, I'm excited. I didn't expect Gears. Not that it was time, but I'm like, oh man, it is time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So, bro, if they knock this one out, oh man, yeah, this gonna be something. There's gonna be something. Do
you think we get a release date? What kind of reveal are you expecting with this? That's the thing, is I know that they kind of put this one off saying like, hey, we're working on Unreal Engine 5 with this. It's going to be a little bit like they put out a whole statement that we had covered on this show. So what kind of reveal do you think this gets? Do you think it gets more of the Clockwork Revolution pre-alpha reveal, the Avowed pre-alpha reveal, or do they go CGI for this?
I think they
or probably... is it a Fable reveal? I should throw out there too.
I forgot about Fable.
Oh yes, that's CG. No, it's not.
Yeah, they could hit us with the Fable joint. Yeah, they could hit us with the joint where you get part vertical slice as far as cinematics, but you get, oh no, that's in engine. That's what it is. And hey, if you want to throw a little, hey, I heard Marcus Phoenix ain't retired just yet. If you want to go play a little respect to the OG, show them in there, get the fans up, play some little nostalgic music. What is it? Mad World. What was that joint?
Yeah, Mad World.
Bro, you play Mad World, you going to have grown men in tears. You're going to be like, oh my God, this is that 360 energy. We back, baby. So look, I'm excited, clearly. But I listen, this showcase has potential to be one of last year's was phenomenal. This year, I've told people, and then we forgetting like ABK ain't that thing. ABK gonna beat, like I'm telling people all that. The rest of the world don't care about that stuff. Y'all going crazy to the hardcore. This is what people care about. What games you got, bro? Oh, you got this? Oh, you got that? You got. That's what we here for. So I'm excited. Hopefully they show well. And I do want to put respect on Coalition's thing. They don't, I know I'm a Black Rock guy. I know I like the new kids on the block, the new teammates, but Coalition, we got to put respect. They do this. They know graphical fidelity in that team. And also, even though he works at Blizzard, Rob Ferguson's around.
That is true. That is true.
Just saying.
Yeah, man. It's a really interesting suite of games that they're going to be revealing here. Let's keep it real. Minus Microsoft Flight Simulator, this is a very broad appeal slate. If you were to ask me, Gears, that's some 360 energy. Call of Duty, That's some casual energy, and I don't say it insultingly, but that's
dude bro energy.
Yeah, it's some dude bro energy. That's perfectly put. And then Indiana Jones, that's like your big IP game. This is okay. So last year, I think, was a perfect showcase for the hardcore to answer like all of our questions. Like they went out in Japan, they revealed the first party. This feels like wide net being cast type of showpieces. It is how I'm interpreting it. Like, here's a new Gears, it's on the way, and what you're getting soon is Indiana Jones, which we've heard is in the holiday, and we're doing the new Call of Duty reveal here. Usually, Call of Duty gets its own ass event. They're doing it at the Xbox show with Gulf War, so it'll be a monumental show for them, no doubt. And you're gonna, I have a feeling. Remember last year there was that real swagger before their showcase where you could feel confidence, and I think they're going to have that same energy again, because no doubt these are monumental announcements here, particularly Call of Duty and Gears of War. We've already seen Indy, but to get a date on that, I'm sure that's going to leak easily. That's going to leak easily before the showcase, no doubt. Just because we've already heard so many other updates on Indiana Jones well before they were ready to talk. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of great stuff here. For me with Gears of War, I'm very excited because it's been enough time to miss it, right? Like we've been away for a while. I remember when I first agreed with Colin to do Defining Duke, I went and ran through the Gears trilogy and then 4 and 5 because these were games that I really enjoyed and hadn't played in a while. I just want to get in that Xbox mood, and I would do many things for them to do a collection. I just think it is as like, I know Halo's got the heritage down to the first ever Xbox, but I would argue Gears is as important. 100%. I would 100% say it is as important. If you think if you're doing a Halo collection because of legacy, Gears needs to be in that conversation. It really does, because when you look at that 360 generation, there's 2 games that come to mind, and it's Gears of War 3. It's really the whole Gears of War trilogy, right? And Halo 3. Like those were the big 3s. Like, massive. Like what a time to be alive. Yes. And I don't co-sign this idea that Gears, by the way, the one who stayed consistently good, in my opinion, it has its issues, but like the second half of Gears 5, I'm a little on the pacing and choices. I agree with Cliffy B. I think they need to have a little more conviction for Game 6, which I'll get into in a moment. But Gears has always been steadily great at the bare minimum. There is a bar there that has not been missed. Even in Gears 4, which is the safest Gears game, or Gears 1, which is the most bare bones gear game, like it has still been nothing short of great as far as I'm concerned. So I think that quality bar is there, and I think it needs to get that respect of a collection. I think there's enough outcry where it's going to get supported, and I think people would buy that thing up. As for Gears 6, I agree with like the whole idea of, getting back to their roots a little bit with more of that hardcore, gritty approach. I feel there's this part, I'll just say ice area, underground. I feel they got to that kind of hardcore, gritty area like people wanted. I think most of the issues lie with Chapter X, 3, and 4 and how rushed to the finish it really was. Gears 5 was shaping up to be the best Gears game when it came to the campaign, as far as I was concerned. Like, I know it's tough to top those moments like in Gears 2 and 3, no doubt. But when you're talking about building off what's been there and introducing this new threat in a meaningful way and some pretty big narrative moments involving your party, if you will, I think Gears 5 has it all. It just needed a little more time to, I think, deliver something more with more finality. But here's the reality, is that many people are expecting Gears 6 has to be it. Like, this has to be the end of at least this saga. It has to be. You've done 2 trilogies worth. It spanned since the 360. It's time to wrap this up. And I don't know if we would do a God of War style reboot like Andy said, but it is time to, I think, tie the knot on this and let Coalition either go do something different or take Gears in a different direction or give it the spin-off treatment. That's where I think the collection would do them a lot of favors, because then you've got this evergreen piece that just kind of sits there as, I'm in a Gears mood, and here's the whole suite right there. So yeah, I hope that they come out swinging with this game. Like, you cannot afford to not be conclusive with Gears 6. You kind of dabbled with cliffhangers in your last 2 games. It's time to really put a bow on it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just to add on to your point, I just wanted to clarify. I know what you mean as far as like brutal, right? And I think to clarify, I just wanted to say, like with Gears 1, the reason why I think it's so beloved and a special place for me is because I miss the horror aspect of Gears. And I miss, one thing about Gears 1, there was segments where I'll never forget when you go, into dark, enlightened areas and you had to deal with this thing called the Krill, and they would kill you instantly if you went between those areas. I remember the first time, getting dropped into a tight space with the Berserker, an unkillable enemy that you literally had to run from until you go outside and you get what is it? I always butcher the name. I think it's the Pillar of Dawn, always. Yeah. Whatever it is, a light of dawn, they would come down and eradicate the enemy. And it was just so cool. I just want a little bit more of those moments where I feel threatened, because sometimes I feel like Gears get into a part where they're too comfortable with taking on, like the most epic boss creatures, and they just do come popping out, and
you just hunch down the whole time.
Hunch down the whole time. So I want you in fear. I want you to move. You got to move from that spot. You got to that's when I was like,
locomotion.
At its best. So there's so many things they can do, but that's what I wanted to clarify. But I'm excited, regardless to what I'm excited. Gears, to your point, you made a good point. We got to put respect to Gears' name. As much as people have been giving its flowers to Halo since the OG, obviously we had a little bit of a dip here and there. And even though Infinite has recovered and is doing well now, we have to admit Gears never really experienced that. And Gears represented the new generation of Xbox fans that were like, okay, this is pushing graphical fidelity. This is co-op. I remember seeing Gears for the first time. I was like, oh my God, like graphics are this now? Like this is crazy. So and last thing, and shout out to, again, the great Peanut Moore. I remember the decision at the time, when they had it and they were like, look, this is Gears with 256 megabytes of RAM for the 360. It's okay. But here is it. If you allow us to put more into the 360 from a console standpoint, this is what you get. And it was truly genre defining, graphical changing, and that's what made the difference. And that was a critical decision.
I'll always remember going over to my buddy's house and watching him play Gears on the 360. It was just like, I know nowadays it won't have any impact on people, but like it was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was
face melting,
unbelievable.
Yes, absolutely.
And they got to capture that feeling again. I mean, they've been working with Unreal Engine 5 since the tech demo, so I mean, they should be leading the charge here, and I trust they will, because what Coalition doesn't get a lot of kudos for is their technical expertise. They've come out and supported so many different first party studios to their release. I think they helped with. I know they helped with Halo Infinite, but I don't know if they helped with Starfield as well. But yeah, they've assisted in so many ways across that family. So hopefully they come out swinging here. And then as for other things not on this list, Cog, I know we'll have our own little predictions special as we always do.
As we do.
But yeah, we have here Call of Duty. We have here Microsoft Flight Sim. We have Indiana Jones. Are there any big games? Like, do you think we see Fable again? Like, I feel like Fable has to be a big one as far as I'm concerned.
It's a good one.
I feel like there's a few others there. We talked about Persona 6. I feel like that could be a big third party one. What do you think is missing here that they could also be showing off? I mean, there's a lot to pick from, of course. Hellblade will be out by this point. Do we get an avowed release date that's very firm?
Right.
Like, do we get a follow-up on that developer direct where, you get Aura History Untold firm release date, that sort of thing? Actually, I think Aura got a release date, but anyway, point being is, what do you think is missing?
I think the two for me that is missing, Fable, I feel is still one more year away, maybe. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the next year. Maybe they hold on to that nugget, even though it's more advanced. To me, the two I need to hear from to quell my nerves, as everything else has been great, is I need to see what's going on with Perfect Dark. I would love.
Oh, that would be a big one.
Yeah, I would love if you could show me some gameplay of where you're at right now. And the other one, who I'm still going to be on them, I'm sorry, this is the one that I am the most worried about, is State of Decay 3. I still, what's going on? What's happening? You guys have, radio silence and a zillion updates for State of Decay 2 that I really don't care for, but, God bless, you're still supporting it. I want to know what's going on. You gave us that vertical slice that I know most likely ain't going to look like the game. And I think they're Unreal 5, I believe, right? I believe
that's the rumor right now.
State of Decay, I love you. What's going on? Like, what's happening? How long is that? When we saw that joint, I think it was like, what, 2-3 years?
2018 or 19?
Bro, it's been a minute. Yeah. What are you doing, Undead Labs? I'm pulling for you. I like you. I want to know what you're doing. I would like a status report. What's happening? You need to check your homework. What's happening, Matt Bowie? We need to talk. I need to know what's going on with them. And obviously, the initiative. The initiative is it's so much talent. We know Crystal Dynamics is there. It would be nice to get some solace there. Like, what's happening? Those two, everything. Fable, I'm not worried about. We saw enough that I'm like, all right, they gonna cook. Probably maybe another year away from them, but at least we know what they're doing. Same thing. I'm not worried with In Exile after seeing Clockwork Revolution. I'm like, okay, y'all come. Oh, I know who. It may be time for Double Fine. Hey, what was that? Hey, what you doing?
That's a good
what you doing? Hey, what's going on? We
thought they'd be at the developer direct, so that lines up.
Yeah, Double Fine.
It was revealed at E3 2020. I apologize. I got it flipped with when the Fable rumors.
So State of Decay 3 was 2020.
Yeah, so it's been 4 years. Yeah, it should be.
State of Decay, where you at, bro? Like, I got to put pressure on you. Like, nah, this is what's going on. Like, these are the people. I'm surprised nobody coming for them. I'm like,
there was a report here. I'm looking at it. This is from September 30th, 2023 from Insider Gaming saying State of Decay 3 planned for 2027 release. It's rumored. And it says that it says rumor, according to Nora Schramek's lighting / technical artist at Undead Labs ArtStation profile, State of Decay 3 is planned to be released in 2027. The post has since been deleted. I don't see any follow-ups here on this, but who knows if this is accurate or not. But with what was originally reported as internal strife and stuff, this one going away for a while.
Yeah,
it's possible it can come out sooner than we think. It could also come out later than we expect. Yeah. But I think some type of answer on that is a great pick. Yeah, that would be one. Yeah, there's a couple in the Xbox family like that, and I'd say Perfect Dark kind of sit in that same company of like, what is going on here?
Where y'all at? I just want to see.
Yeah, I agree. All right, damn it, I forgot to do a timestamp for all that, but nonetheless, we get into our second batch of news, which is game preservation, and so we have here some news surrounding what is going on with Xbox and their push forward into game preservation, forward compatibility, and what exactly that means. So as first reported by Windows Central Gaming, Xbox President Sarah Bond has set up a new team dedicated to forward compatibility and game preservation. And that the same report, she claims that Xbox is now the lead platform for Diablo 4. Separately, she has doubled down on the claim that Xbox will be delivering the biggest technological leap ever in a generation. Lee's Cool Jenkins writes in, "Hey Dukes, are you hyped with the news from Jez Corden's interview that Xbox are establishing a new team dedicated to game preservation and forward compatibility? Does this mean a return to back compatibility, or is this a way of managing games moving forward? Could this be linked to how they're managing the Activision back catalog? Thanks as always, and have a no new games at 60 FPS ever again kinda day." Thank you for writing in, Lee. So yeah, Cog, we found ourselves in this interesting spot here where the last news story talked about a back catalog announcement for Activision games. And now we're seeing here this new game preservation push. I am of the mindset looking at, like, I think the Nintendo situation with the Switch 2 has been very illuminating. And looking at that and seeing how valuable it would be for the Switch to go forward with carrying that library from Switch 1 over into Switch 2 and just how far that would go for people having that built in. With Xbox, I think it's doubly so because you have this play anywhere mantra. So I could have my library on my TV, on my phone, on my portable devices, whatever they may be. There's so many options that are available there. So do you think this is a push to making sure that that continues to be the case? Or do you think, as some people are hoping it is, this is a push as well towards the past too, to try to figure out things for 360 games that cannot be played in back compat, original Xbox games that cannot be played in back compat? Do you think they've figured something out that will be debuted at this summer showcase potentially?
That is the question, right? That's a great question. I'll start with the first part. I do think that the game preservation aspect, to me, denotes with the direction change. If you're going to be a company who is going to put your games everywhere, or at least most devices and other platforms, then you need to ensure that your data and everything that comes with it goes with it, right? And it stays there in perpetuity. And I think that a lot of it comes down to, remember what I told you at the Xbox Business Update event, one of the things that I thought was very critical was, again, those 4 or 5 tenets of what it means to be Xbox. It's like your data, everything that you have goes with you. And I think they are keen to synergize that. So what I see here is a reorganization. I love the fact that Sarah Bond made this announcement, but in reference to the back compat, which I know a lot of people are here for, which is like, yo, what's going on with that? Because the last time we heard, right, Jason Ronald and the team, they were kind of like, listen, it is kind of over. We've done everything we've had to at that point. The rest were remaining licenses. The rest were remaining, hey, there were some game-breaking bugs that prevented certain games from, I know for a fact that prevented certain games that people really wanted from being restored, but because they couldn't get a hold of the developer and the source code, and then you got the contracts and the music license. And some people are like, yo, we don't even know who owns this game. And so if you put this out, Joey Company B might be like, hey, what are you doing? We're suing. We own rights to that, So it's that legalese part that is always so wishy-washy. This is what I will say. It is coming back, but in a specific form from what my guess is, which is, for now, Activision catalog. One thing we know is they could not preemptively act on those games until the deal was closed. There's no, otherwise that's tampering and you get in trouble. I have confirmed this with many people inside Microsoft. We cannot touch anything until the deal is done. Now let's get to it. Maddie needs his Spider-Man games. Cog needs his Transformers games. They got Tenchu games. They got Call of Duty. They got a ton of games that they can infuse. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to be realistic and say, the backward compatibility team comes back. Remember, there's a team now, right? In this form for ABK short term. That is a ton of work. Licensing, certification. It's not as simple as just turn the Game Pass switch on. No. Then how hard are they going to go? Because we do know, first of all, shout out to Bill Stillwell with the original backward compatibility team who transformed gaming, and Xbox does not get enough credit for actually doing game preservation and virtualization. But Jason Ronald's team then took it to the next level, which said, okay, not only are we doing it, you're going to get that auto HDR. You're going to get that FPS boost for some of these titles. So I look at a concerted effort to say at the showcase, okay, guys, we're the home of Call of Duty. By the way, this is my guess. As of now, it's going to be one of them joints, Maddie. As of now, Spider-Man, Call of Duty, blah, blah, blah. Right now, Transformers War, that's where they're going to get grown man tears for me. Transformers War, Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, right now. I'm for this. I'm for it. And then they will probably strategically work with Activision with which Call of Duties or old ones they want to strategically bring out. They're going to stretch that out a little bit. They're going to, marketing beats. We're going to have that Game Pass, addition to the week. You know how that's going to go. Yeah. So, and then they got the Crash. They got a lot, man. So that's what I'm looking at realistically. It would be nice if you extend the program past that, but I ain't going to get too ahead of myself. I think ABK is the focus right now. Anything after that from back to back, relax just yet. I ain't there yet, but I'm hopeful. We'll see. What about
Interesting. So you think it won't just be Call of Duty back compat? You think they might go into Spider-Man, they might go into Transformers, Singularity. You think they're going to go on all the interesting?
Yeah.
See, I was approaching it like I mentioned earlier when I saw the story here about forward compatibility, game preservation. I was like, okay, Xbox learned what seems to be one of their most valuable lessons during the Xbox One generation of, okay, we lost, as they say it, the generation that mattered the most, where the digital library began. They cannot afford to mess that up, right? And we've learned through little things that we didn't think much about it originally, like, what was it? I'm forgetting the name of the thing. Smart delivery. It's right. How hard can it be? And then you saw how PlayStation handled it. Was it like console crippling? No, but it definitely made for a better user experience. And I think it did make some level of a difference because originally the console race was neck and neck. Just Xbox fell out of it as they did with 2022. And it's been a runaway success again for PlayStation. You know, they're doing good for their own generation standards, but they could be doing way better if they had continued to deliver year after year.
Agreed.
Point being, though, is they have a tendency to, I think, have that foresight of a thing that could be annoying or a big defining part of your purchase and adding that convenience in. So perhaps this is something that they're looking at saying, like, we need to hone in on game preservation and forward compatibility, because if we don't, then this will happen. And again, I look to something like smart delivery versus PlayStation's upgrades between the two, installing two versions and transferring saves and the broken messages, like the 10-step process versus just putting your disc in or downloading the game, night and day experience. So it could be something more complex as that. It could also be just to be able to say, like, there is a power if you can get there to be able to say every Xbox game like you know of, it is available here. Like, you can play your old Xbox games, your 360 games, you like anything that was exclusive to this platform at any point in time, you can play here. Like, we have the biggest back compat library imaginable. Because guess who fucking benefited from them the most? Nintendo did. Guess who was getting excitement from fans through their PS Plus subscription service? I already spoiled it. PlayStation, because they had like the PS2 classics, they had the PSP editions, PS1 editions. People are going, nostalgia. I know I talked about this funny enough earlier with like Retro Rebound and Revive and all that stuff, but nostalgia is all the rave. Like, people are kind of, not collectively, like, there's a major place for big releases and they're going to drive the most money, but there is a big spot of this market for people who want to have access to their games very old and new, not just Xbox One and new, but beyond that. So there is, if they're going that route, there is a power to be able to sit there and go, hey, we have everything here. We have everything from all these generations. Pick your poison. You can play what you want. So I find that particularly exciting. You know, I'm not trying to get carried away, though, because at the same time, Xbox and physical media is going in one direction. But if your plan is through digital media to, like, okay, remember what happened with like 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, where like that only worked with a disc. If your plan is through only a digital push, you can get these games going and that they won't be lost. That is a compromise that I, as a preservationist, am willing to make. Like 100%. Just keep these games around and accessible. I agree. It's not the substitute that I want, and that when they're printed on disc and they're available or they're on cartridge, that is a huge difference that makes sure like that you can't take that away from me. But as Xbox stampedes in this always online DRM checking hybrid AI generation that they seem to be going toward, as long as you make sure I can play what I want to play when I want to play it, that would be a great selling point for me and many others. And I'm not just talking about the newer games. I'm talking about the older stuff too. Because the last thing I'll just say is there is a power, again, to being able to say like, hey, here is, let's throw out Hellblade 2 on the go. Let's say they do this portable Xbox thing. And then here's Ninja Gaiden Black. Like, here, you know, here's a big throwback. Like, here's Oddworld Munch's Odyssey. Let's see here. We got Jade Empire. Like a bunch of them out there. Bard's Tale. Like, there's a bunch of games I could pick out from the original Xbox library that they could use. You know what I actually found out? I was at my local game shop. Microsoft Game Studios used to have a huge sports team. They had like Inside Pitch, Inside Drive, NFL Fever.
Yeah.
They had a bunch, dude. I didn't realize until I was going through it because I saw the NFL Fever. Yeah, they had a bunch. So yeah, I just think you walk away with the ability to just have that entire library there. And I think that's powerful if that's what they end up doing. There still is a power and an excitement to saying, well, we have every Call of Duty game available in back compat. We saw what happened when they fixed the damn servers. Imagine making an announcement out of it.
Yeah, and there's some hardcore that live by those classics, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is what it was. This is the real prestige. This is the real perks. And you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm with you. I'll let you finish and I'll add on.
No, please. I was done. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're on fire. I think that, to me, it's what you said. Like, having a program like this makes your platform, it's a differentiator, right? It adds unique value to say not only do we have Xbox Game Studios, we have Game Pass, the platform, we have all these games coming into the server, but also we're the home of these classic titles and these 360 games and these these real classic games from ABK that you remember. And if we do remember when ZeniMax Bethesda, they got acquired, there was that push. We had those beats of drops.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna, obviously it's a lot of work, so they're probably not gonna, as Maddie says, the shotgun blast. We're probably not going to get that, but we'll probably get 1 to 2 key ones in the beginning from a Call of Duty standpoint. Yeah. And then now you just strip feed throughout the whole year. You got content. You just keep drip feeding Game Pass every month. Here's one. Here's another one. Here's this game. And you're going to do well, man. This is what I envisioned with ABK. It just took a long time because of the legalese and the process of things getting held up. And now the clock starts. Remember, there's a lot of work to be done. I told people, now that it's done, now the real work begins. And this was part of it. So, yeah, I'm excited. And to your final point, digital media, I know Mr. Manning plays physical media. I know. And I know there's a huge contingent that says, physical media. All I say is we do know what Xbox represents. We do know what Game Pass represents, and it's digital and it's cloud and all that stuff. But to your point, where you will compromise, which I think is fair, which is like, okay, if you're going to go this direction, please ensure that you keep my library and everything in these classic games with it. Yeah. I don't want to find a situation that I can't play these games that I invested on your platform with your achievements and my data. Mm-hmm. Where is these games? So that I think is a fair compromise if you're not going to give me physical, right? So
the other thing is that what I figured out through a workaround, by the way, that shout out to Brett Medlock, who's a good buddy of mine, but he pointed out to me when I first got into the Logitech G Cloud that there's those third-party apps that let you play certain Xbox games on the go. Like the Logitech G Cloud comes built in with the Xbox app, but then there's like X Play, which you can download, and then you can play 360 and OG Xbox games on the go. This is something that if you try to do it originally, like let's say, I want to play Fable Anniversary and I want to stream it to my Logitech G Cloud, you can't do that. So it's also possible that part of this initiative is figuring out how do you get 360 games streamable? How do you get original Xbox games streamable? So I don't know when you add that library to it, but like I feel like that could be part of it as well. Is like the native ability. Like I found out a workaround. Now I can stream any of those fucking games, but for Xbox to be able to do it and hopefully unlock the potential beyond that to the rest of their library. If you could figure out, it's like one thing to get it running, but if you could stream them all, change the game.
You nailed it. I just also forgot about the fact that everything outside of Game Pass, whatever is a digital ownership library from Mr. Matty Plays that is non-Game Pass should still be streamable, should still be accessible. You bought it. You have that license. Yeah. It should be a situation that I'm on a device, and if it's not in Game Pass, I'm screwed. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's what PlayStation kind of does, right? I was playing Fallout New Vegas on my PS5 through streaming it. Like that is a thing that I know Xbox is obviously in on, but I think to reach deep into that back catalog would be something most fortuitous for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And its fans. So.
Absolutely. Especially if you're going to go in this direction, you have to fill those holes up in your service to truly support game preservation and forward compatibility. Yeah. You absolutely have to do that. Yeah, you're right.
Well, we also have a second question here. We can get into it. John Hankey writes, "Hey Duke, Sarabon's recent comments about Xbox being full steam ahead on their next console make me wonder what they could do to help make themselves more competitive with the other consoles on the market. Or are people so bought into their ecosystem that it is a lost cause at this point? Is Xbox even worried about console sales, or is it purely Game Pass and game sales now? Any features that the Dukes hope to see? With Xbox going partially third-party with games, it seems that their top competitive advantage would be the value proposition with a Game Pass, especially if it includes Call of Duty. I hope you have the eclipse destroyed my 2020 vision kind of day. Thanks, John Hank. Thank you, John, for writing in. So yeah, we have Sarah Bond here doubling down on the technological leap for this generation. It's the biggest ever in a generation. So we'll see what that ends up being. But what do you make here of what John wrote in about? A little bit more of I know you're not here for this energy, Cog, but some of the Xbox fandom does feel this way. A little bit of disenfranchisement, a little still, even after the business update, confusion on the direction of the brand. I mean, I talked about it earlier where I think there's still a question to be had if you're thinking logically about it on what exclusivity is going to be. Like, I still am a firm believer that all these games like Starfield is going to go over, Indie is going to go over. It's just about when it feels the most okay to do it. when other competitors might start doing it. But what do you make of John's write in here and kind of what they can do to set themselves up for the next console generation? And is what Sarabon's talking about here maybe some of what's necessary to do so?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I think that, to your point, you've been, very consistent about you feeling things are going to go everywhere. Obviously the business update in even though I personally am not affected by those games, I do understand the sentiment for people who say, hey, are you damaging the brand? What is the direction here? And I think that, look, from a competitive standpoint, it's clear they are flirting with this stuff, right? So when you are flirting with this stuff, it's only fair to say that, yes, there is a part of the community that feels fractured, right? The morale as far as what's happening with Xbox is there. I'm not going to sit there and say that does not exist for sure. You know what I'm saying? But when I look at it is, we have to be clear, right? We have to be clear as far as what's happening with console sales, right? We have to be clear there. Is it the end all be all for them? No, but we ain't going to sit there and act like they ain't getting beat like they are. So what I think is this is part of the pivot. This is part of, okay, let's see. It's the same way with Game Pass. Let's see what happens when we make this service. Let's see what happens if we put Sea of Thieves and Grounded and these live service games. And do they truly kick off in this manner that, wait a minute, we can profit, we can do all this stuff? And I think the answer is, yeah, they've clearly made it clear that Game Pass is still the priority, which is what I thought they may have to sacrifice, right? Well, that was the key thing I got out of the business update. Like, no, that's the driver. So to John's point, as far as the competitive advantage for the value proposition, absolutely with Game Pass. And I've always said, I want to know what happens when ABK and Call of Duty is in that service. This was the whole point of the trial. We talked months and months. Would this destroy the industry, the competitive balance? They're a monopoly. Months and months. I need to know when Call of Duty new, whatever it's called, I'm calling it the new, when that drops and it's on an Xbox stage and it has Xbox marketing and hopefully tied with Xbox consoles, what happens? Does that drive something? Does that create an engagement? Does that, because let's be honest, the casual a lot of times does not know. You know what I'm saying? They just see where the marketing is and they see the logo and they say, okay, this is where I have to go. And I'm very curious about that in the back catalog. So we'll see. That's the features that I hope to see. He says the word about console, the features that the Dukes that I hope to see. I think for me, it's just the games, bro. It's always been the games. And what I would like to see is 2 years of no rake. 2 years of make good games. That's all I need from you. Yeah. Everything else will fall in place.
Reliability, sustainability. Yeah.
We just need stability here, bro. We can't have these 2022 situations. 2021 great. Metacritic Publisher of the Year, 2022, you ain't got nothing no first party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 2023.
Yeah, like you great, you have great thing, yeah, but then you have a red fall here and right. Not even though 2023, I want to take it back though. It's still a great year. But they need consistency where games are 80 to 85 and higher. Don't let Hellblade be a 90 plus, right? Like you need You know what I'm saying? You need that so people go, oh my God, it's safe, it's cool. We know New York Mets energy.
Either, just a little. There's been some I would defend them on one, and I know you're not implying this, but like I would defend them in that there's been some regularity in consistently highly reviewed games. I think Redfall is sticking with people. I say this as someone who, look, no one's a bigger Arcane fan than me. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and act like, if I can get the fuck over it and look at the broader picture that I think a lot of you out there can, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it is unfortunate. It's awful. It should have never happened. It is the worst reviewed Xbox game. None of that's forgivable, but everything surrounding Redfall has reviewed really well. Starfield served as more divisive than I think it should have been, which sucks, but I think that's still reviewed very well.
Yes.
I don't think high 80s, mid 80s is anything to scoff at, but I get there's a desire for the 90 plus, and I get it.
Of course.
And Hi-Fi Rush is very close, but the PS5 version got it, unfortunately. So,
yes, of course.
For me, I would say this is a little bit of like video game magic I'm conjuring up in my head, but what I think about oftentimes is this Xbox Hideo Kojima partnership, clearly utilizing the cloud and AI. I think leveraging unique partnerships will help next generation, but I think more than anything, look, I have become acceptant of like, this is what Xbox is going to go do. They're going to go all digital. They're going to go into AI. Like they're going to play to their strengths that they really haven't and try to avoid. And where you can meet me in the middle is if your AI, if your technology can create really unique video game experiences that I can't get elsewhere. Like you have these legs up in certain areas, and they've usually been designed to create price propositions for me where it's like, or value propositions, I should say, where it's like, oh, I spend 70 or I go 15 over here. Like you've done a great job at doing that all over the board. Do I buy this on PS3 and play it on my PS3, or do I just play it through back compat? Do I do FPS boost, or do I just play this on my PS4? Like they've done a great job giving me those value propositions, but now it's time to apply a lot of your technology into making your games feel standalone and unique. Even if they're only exclusive for a limited time, I think knowing that you're going to get that, I mean, you can create that kind of high class PlayStation feel easily if you have the ability to deliver so. Now it takes a unique mind like Kojima, but no doubt if you got something and you can twist that in one way or the other and create these really unique organic interactions in games where storylines are diverging and breaking up a million one ways and there's constant dynamic action. Like I think there's an untapped potential there that could define a generation, frankly, and not just in how we consume our games, but how we play them. So again, you know me, I'm not pro AI all the way, but I'm trying to be objective here. If there's something that could make that backbreaker for me, it would be, oh, I'm getting an experience that's amazing, that's stirring up the imagination and I never anticipated. And I'm not talking about in the way where it's, whoa, this is all made by a robot and I didn't know until after I played the game. I'm talking about, you know, you play it and it's utilizing something that was previously unthinkable and seeing us think on a different level. If you can enable that, then we got something here. We already talked about back compat. That would be another wish list of mine. That seamless play anywhere, that handheld, that would go another a level for me, just getting that play anywhere mantra to fit my mold, which is like, look, man, yeah, I know I can play anywhere on my phone, but the most play anywhere I'm doing is a handheld on my couch streaming from my console. Like if you can give me an actual handheld though, a bona fide dedicated handheld system, like that's another thing that would define that generation for me and just make, because you know it's also about reaching the third party. It's like we focus on exclusives, they're extremely important, but what kind of experience can you create for me with the $70 games coming from other publishers? Like, okay, I pick up the new Assassin's Creed game. One reason why Switch appeals to so many people is like, yeah, I could play this over here on my PlayStation 4 or my PlayStation 5 or my Xbox One or my Series X and S or my PC, but I got this portability factor here. I got that slim form factor here. Like I have these benefits. I can play this on the go and while I'm in bed, charge it while I'm in bed and sleeping, then wake up the next day, dock it, continue my playthrough. Like there's a seamlessness to it, right? Like that's why a lot of third party blew up on Switch. Indie blew up on Switch because they presented a new way to play. So I think if Xbox can figure that out, whether it's tapping into a current trend of handheld or something with AI pardon me, my protein shake's backing up on me here. Presenting us with a new way to play games, I think that's something that could really put them on a whole other level because we're learning more and more games are big enough where the word gets around and experiences are king. And if you can deliver something new and fresh, then you got yourself a winner. So let's hope they can figure that out.
No, bro, you're on fire. I think so. Last point I'll say is, and this is why I really want to put things in perspective. And mind you, while you're talking, I'm creating a list, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, this is crazy, right? Hellblade 2, Towerborn, Fable, Clockwork Revolution, Perfect Dark, Wu-Tang Game, OD from Kojima, State of Decay 3, Blade, Indiana Jones, Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, Stalker, Gear 6, the home of Call of Duty, Project Mara, game, Forza Horizon, potentially Tokyo or something. These are not all, I just created this right now of everything we know Xbox has in tuck between now and the next year or two. That is insane. Yeah. So again, we not even talk about a new Fallout, an Elder Scrolls, or what have you. I see it. That's why I said, all it matters is the games. The AI stuff is great. You want to offload tech and make things greater for the awesome. New console hit, great. These games, bro, just drop the games and they're good. Everything gonna be all right. Trust me. It's gonna be all right.
I have faith in your game plan, man. Yours is more simple than mine.
Games. I learned PlayStation showed the way. When they were dropping Scorpio and all, that was cute. That was great. What about that Spider-Man, though? That Last of Us, though? That God of War, though? You didn't have anything to compete. You had, your third parties play better. That's why I said at the end of the day, though, look at Nintendo. They sit here with 480i Vaseline screens. Bro, but when that Pikachu and all that drop and that Kirby drop and all that drop, we know what happens.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Xbox get back to that, they will be fine. But to the last point, like I said, I will reiterate 2 to 3 years of just consistency. That's all I need. No rakes as far as game quality. That's all I need. You give me 2 to 3 years of consistency and quality control, Matt Booty, you will be invited on the show, and we're going to praise your name about 2018 and your graph class and everything. That's what's on trial to me, is the quality of those games. Are they good?
Absolutely. Well put. So that wraps up topic 2. Final bit of news here. This is just the beginning, Cog. The Verge's Tom Warren reports, quote, sources familiar with Microsoft's plans tell me that the company continues to evaluate other Xbox exclusive games coming to PS5. I understand Sea of Thieves will be a key test for whether other games might make their way to PS5 or Nintendo Switch, end quote. Cog, sir, strap on your shoes, get in those tights. You're going on a victory lap, dude. Let's hear it.
Talk my talk. This is what I've been saying. I predicted this one. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, I told people that pre-order indicator was very interesting to me. Well, PlayStation Premium Edition, number 1, Standard Edition of Sea of Thieves, number 4 or 5, right? So it shows, again, don't pay Twitter no mind. Don't pay this echo chamber. The real world says we want to play those games and we're interested in playing it on our platform. Now, when I say those games, not all, in fairness, it wasn't that level 5 I rushed it, sadly. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was your release date. Somebody ain't loving you. I don't know what's going on. I thought they would love you more.
Should have taken an opportunity to actually see how it did with more marketing.
Yeah, that too. It just feels like they're so unlucky, Maddie, right? Like, man, that game is so good. I'm like, but I'm holding out hope. Switch 2, if you're able to put that on as a launch title, maybe do a little milli, 2 milli, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. But the key is Sea of Thieves and Grounded. I want to know. And I agree. If those two happen, then maybe that creates a situation. Say, okay, you know what? Thought experiment over. We've got the data we need. Single player, maybe not so much. Maybe we don't do a Starfield. Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't do a single player joint. But these live service, these multiplayer, these co-op, there's a want maybe over there. Maybe we say, okay, you know what? See these two, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's just, everybody plays at the same time. And live service fighting is another one. Killer Instinct, hello. A lot of people have been rumors that's another game I've got to put that on my. I'm gonna put this less together. These are incredible games coming to Xbox. I'm just wasn't Killer Instinct 2. We heard a rumor that's coming, right? Yeah. And what's the other one with the Contraband? I forgot about that one, right? Look at this, bro. This is crazy.
I'm growing in real time.
Yeah, in real time. So here's the thing: if you put Killer Instinct, you mean to tell me it's available for Switch 2, PlayStation 5, and Xbox at the same time? We see what's going on with Tekken right now, with the fact that you are on all platforms with cross-play. You see it in Resurgence. I think that may be the play. That may be the compromise. Maybe we don't get the full slate in the beginning. I'm not saying it will never happen. Maybe that's pushed back further, right? They say, hey, that really wasn't worth the investment. It did do damage, but see it these and that. So that's my new prediction right now. We'll see what happens. I'm very curious about Grounded as well. And I think Tom Warren is on to something. Sources familiar with Microsoft. That's how I felt when I saw the experiment. So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know if I really have anything of meaning to add here, because I've been saying for so long that it's even without the data, I was like, they're going to bring shit over. So Sea of Thieves having really good pre-orders, bringing that over and finding great success there likely indicates that more should be on the way if those early pre-order numbers are anything to go by. So we shall see. But Cog, that brings us to the end of the news and into our Game Pass pick of the week, where you have the selection, sir. So let's hear it.
Yeah, so just full disclosure, I'm pretty sure we may or may not have done this already, but if we haven't, I think I'm safe because I feel like it just got added to Game Pass. And I know we've talked about this game before, and I covered this game at a PAX. And I was very impressed. So the game is Evil West. And for those, who are not sure or, not familiar with it, it's on Game Pass right now. And it's kind of like the best thing I can describe is like it's this take on post-apocalyptic vampires in a cowboy, time frame in that Western setting. Right. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Maddie, this game is such an Xbox 360 game.
I know, right?
Bro, down to like when you were talking earlier about like a little bit of the muddy vibe, the grit, what I'm saying? It do have a little bit of it, but it's Unreal Engine 4 really out here shining. It's linear path. It's like 10 to 12 hours. It's about maybe 8 to 10 stages. And, you got your grappling rope. You can go between segments and stuff like that, but it's all scripted. You're not really able to venture off into some open world and stuff like that. So it's very Gears of War energy. You got the weighted feel. You got your pistol. You got your shotgun. You've got your hand combat, which is really visceral. You got your finishing moves. Then they got a little bit of Dark Souls with the bosses and the different phases and enemy types. They throw a lot at you in these like very confined spaces where you can tell these areas are set up for boss fights. Yeah. But the story, look, it's not nothing to take serious. It's your typical turn your mind off, have some fun with a cool Western cowboy. The gentleman's name is Rainer, with classic 360 sensibilities, getting lore, upgrading your skill tree, upgrading your abilities, getting lightning abilities on your what you call it, your shotgun / thing. I love, again, the hand-to-hand combat, knocking them into environment, doing the air combos and the juggles and stuff like that.
Superman punch,
knocking them
down the explosives and whatnot. Oh, so good. Yeah.
So much fun. And two-player co-op. When we had that in a minute, right? Bro, this is a throwback to an era. It reminds me a little bit of just a few, not that 50 Cent is over the top, but these are I'm a curse. This is a 360 360 game. Yeah. It just is. It takes me to a time when you're like, man, I remember when games like this, we used to play stuff and just have a ball. Yeah. Shout out to them. I believe it's Wild Hog covered this game. Yep. I remember at PAX, me and you met at PAX, and I was like, yo.
This is going to be a good one. Yeah.
This is going to be a good one. He's like, what games you looking at? And we was like, yo, Evil West, bro. Yeah. And it's so cool that Microsoft felt the same. And they got a Game Pass bag to get, second life to it. Highly recommend people play it. It's a fun romp, man. Please, Evil West, go check that out. Really enjoy this game.
Yeah. I remember reviewing that and just calling it peak fiction because it's like the way it plays with, there's like one part where you get to, I forgot what the name of the building was, but you like look at one of the pictures there and you see, I think, your dad with like Abraham Lincoln or something like that. And it connects to the actual main plot of the game. Yes. It's kind of got an Assassin's Creed feel to it in that regard that you get. Cog mentioned like hand-to-hand combat. It's like a Doom Gears hybrid. It's really unique but familiar at the same time. Like it really is a special game that I hope more people check out, whether it's co-op or I played it in single player. It was phenomenal that way. Just give it a look. It is a really, really cool game.
Absolutely. Evil West. Shout out. I'll give it a shot.
All right. Last question of the show. And then we're out of here. Noah Gotham writes in. I hope that's your actual last name because that's sick.
Sick.
Hello, Dukes. As someone who's recently stepped into a management role at a media organization, I work all kinds of hours and spend much of my day staring at a screen writing. As a result, and as strange as it sounds, sometimes I find it hard to get myself in the mood to play games. Have you ever dealt with this, and do you have any words of advice? Thanks. So I feel like, Cog, you and I work at screens mighty often, whether it's for YouTube or even in your professional life. When you were working at Meta, you were at a screen often. So,
oh yeah.
I guess the question here is, how do you get into the mood to game despite being at screens all the time? What do you do? Do you even think about this?
No, this is a great question. I actually do think about it, especially being in the corporate mindset. I think our problem, Maddie, is that we are the epitome of workaholics, right? Yeah. We are always thinking about the next thing or how to do something and improve ourselves. And just, it's tough out here. So you want to be a step ahead, right? And you always, I know we've talked before, some of my best ideas sometimes are at night, or at least being in that corporate mindset, you're always planning. And I think what I had learned, well, shout out to my man Sinister. It's one of my clan mates, one of the original ILP members, and he always told me, like, bro, he's my like gaming conscious. I never told him this. I'm going to give him his flowers. And he's like, we haven't seen you in a while. What's up? And I'm like, yo, bro, I got this project. I can't, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll try tomorrow. He like, Cog, you said that yesterday. Saturday 4, or he'll give me the rolling eyes like, yeah, you said you was going to be on an hour or two ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, wait, come on. Just stop what you're doing. Play with the homies for a little bit. We know you're busy, but sometimes you need to pull yourself away sometimes to cleanse your soul, to get that gaming fun back, and sometimes to take the stress and anxiety of like the things that we're doing. Like you're making a game, right? We're doing all these things that are stress inducing. And sometimes you do got to pull yourself away and either give yourself that solo time. That's why Destiny is really helpful for me. Like it's something about that game. I've never played a game for over damn 10 years, Maddie. But it's something about that game. When I throw it on, I hear the music. I'm shooting enemies. I'm using my little space magic. I got my guns. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm okay. This is peace. This is home.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. Sometimes my friends will, bother me like, hey, you doing solo time with Cog? I'm like, yep, this is me. And then other times I need, you know what? Let's just mess around with the homies. Let's have some fun. And it's a cleansing. So what I would say is, you know what? Find that balance. Don't be afraid to set aside some time, literally, to game. It'll do well for your soul. You'll be surprised, man, because we get into that product. Sometimes you get into that pocket where you never will find time.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get there. So that's just where I'm at. You just want that. It's that duality of man, that balance, right? Just being able to carve out specific time for it all. And the last thing I'll say is, even with the Lords, we do it. We're like, yo, we have a game together. Let's do a game night. Come on, all 4 in a room, or I'll create a Tekken room. I'll grabbed up, Colin's best friend PJ. Come on, Friday. It'd be random right now. Well, who's up? What you guys doing? All right, you got to do it, man, and you feel so much better as a result.
Yeah, man. When I think about it, for me, I treat my brain as it is like a kind of like a muscle, and so. Like right now between like today is a good example, actually. So today I did a little bit of just delegating tasks to my game development team, just understanding what's going on. Did a Mr. Matty video, like recorded and edited that. And then started to prep a little bit for my other recordings for Rebound and Rewind after this, just because Wednesdays are always my busiest days. Like I'm always going to be working late these days till, like 8. And it's really just about how you break it up. So for me, what I did was after I did the Mr. Matty video and got that all done, I took a shower. Like I freshened my head a little bit. Then we're doing this Defining Duke. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, no screen, not going to take my phone with me. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to eat some dinner. I'm going to eat some dinner. I might take like 10, 15, 20 minutes. I just read. Like to me, that's the reset. Like I just take your eyes away from the screen. If you still want to keep it as a stimulant or something that holds your attention, read. Go on a walk. If you have the ability to pull away, do so, or just even a bathroom break for 5 minutes. Like it's a muscle, right? So think of it like you're curling weights, and then wait, whoa, why are you laughing? What did I say?
I will go with what muscle you talk about relaxing from the bathroom break, but this is hilarious, bro. They go get us on this one, but I'm gonna let you get it.
No,
I don't know which muscle of the bathroom break that you go ahead.
Go sit in there and work a muscle.
I'll let you continue, sir. Continue.
No, I bet just, get away from the screen, right? And maybe that involves you sitting on the toilet taking a dump. I don't know, right? Like I'm just throwing ideas out there that get you away from the screen. Like I said, it's like an exercise, like you're lifting weights, and you don't just keep crawling, right? You do sets. So think of your work and your breaks like extended sets and extended breaks during a workout. And when you do it like that, I think you'll be fresh enough to play some games. Cog is right. Sometimes it's just soul cleansing. Sometimes you're going to find a new reason. Oh, I'm just so tired. Oh, I'm just so burnt out. And sometimes your brain just tells you these things. And then you realize when you sit down and play, you're like, wait, this is great. It's about sometimes forcing yourself into what may feel like a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. If you still don't feel into it, that's fine. But I think with those tips on refreshing throughout the day, you'll find yourself a little more into it. Get computer glasses. I still wear mine from time to time. Avalex is a good brand. I really like them. Cog wears his Gunners all the time. Whenever he's on the show, these are huge for protecting your eyes during long days. You could also change the screens from more of like a blue to a healthier reading light. All these things will kind of lessen your eye strain. Make sure you check your brightness on your monitors and stuff. And just again, taking a couple of breaks away, put it this way. Screens are inescapable, right? You're either going to be on your phone, on your computer, you're going to be gaming if you're not on one screen. Like it comes down to a core problem, right? And I think it's probably you're not peeling away as often as you can. Obviously, it's different. You work in an organization. I don't know if you work remotely and you can kind of manage that a little bit more. But if you can fit into your schedule, I think some step away breaks will go a long way for you personally. And let us know how our advice pans out for you. But like Cog said, sometimes gaming is good for the soul. So make sure you do some.
Absolutely, man. Well said.
All right, Cog. And that brings us to the end of episode 171 of Defining Duke. Normal episode length, but it feels like it flew by. I don't know.
Yeah, right? I felt like we had a lot, but we got through still at a brisk pace, and I felt we talked a lot too, which is interesting.
Yeah, but we had a busy week here. We talked about Summer Showcase, some leaks for it. We talked about compatibility, both forward and backward. We talked about the most powerful console ever. And much more. So we got a hashtag idea potentially, or fly by the seat of our pants here. I had one. I should have wrote it down. I had one when we were talking about
which one?
I think we were talking about Gears, and I had one. I was like, oh man, that'd be a good one. And I just didn't want to distract myself from the topic, and so I didn't write it down.
Yeah, I was thinking Gears. Probably we should do something Gears. Just what would be cool? I don't know. I definitely feel Gears was definitely a highlight. Just what our hopes are once. Coalition,
Gears, COD, back compat. Oh man, like I feel
so much.
We definitely have done Call of Duty hashtags, that's for sure, with all the Activision stuff.
We've done all that ABK, we've done all that. We gotta give Gears something. I don't know how to freak it though, right? It's
I got a fun one, and it kind of plays to you because they have the COG, right? COG DD.
Let's do it.
Yeah, right.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do COG. Yeah.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, you got this deep. Shout out my co-host, Lord Cognito. You can tag him on Twitter at Lord Cognito. I'm at G27 Status. Use the hashtag COGDD. Woo. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. If you don't want to use social media, no problem. Hashtag COGDD. Comments down below. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. We appreciate you tuning in. Cog, any closing thoughts from you, sir? Shall we wrap this one up?
I have two. You know what? I have way too many things that are synonymous with Xbox. like my nickname. I just realized it. Cognito does have a play on COG with Gears, and then I was like, my birthday. Yep. Like it's just way. I'm like,
born to be a bot, man.
Yeah. They gonna get me now. Now I see they gonna I'm being clipped somewhere, but that was good. That was funny. Now salute, man. Another good show in the realm of the Duke. Salute to the Riley's. They were on fire. Yeah. And man, we got news to talk about. We have hopefully survived the curse of last week and got news this week. And keep on running. And May is approaching, so I'm getting ready for Hellblade, man. That's the next big one for me.
Absolutely. And we'll be around to talk about that when it comes out. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week with episode 172 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Maddie's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.